So Kingwood, Porter, New Caney. Here we go. Okay.
Pascasito.
Okay.
Yeah. South side.
No.
So
we are
South side.
Okay, we're
Pascasito South.
But this way that works.
Side is it?
Outside of my area.
Oh, I was like,
There we are.
no, you don't know where we're from, Zach. Okay.
So you're doing
goof.
like 150 to 250.
Goof. Who's that?
That's my
that
son.
would be
That's what
even
I'm
better.
coaching
Okay.
today.
Oh shit.
We're
on your best behavior.
We're live.
We're live.
Hopefully that's working.
That's also my
We've been
dad
live
acting
5
like
times.
He's
This guy right
in
here.
the Guardians of the Galaxy, so good for him.
It's Nettles with the beard. He's bringing sexy back at 41 years old today.
You ever shave the beard, or you always
Next
kept it?
next to
Yeah, it
JB.
comes and goes.
The beers today have been sponsored by Sherwin-Williams, so whoever's not here, you missed out. Thanks, Sherwin-Williams. Zach.
Probably won't have a job after this, but cool. Curtis will hire me.
What was
Brian.
the guy from 90210 that looks just like you?
Luke Perry.
No, not Luke Perry.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
No,
Luke
right?
Perry.
One of them,
I'm
right?
too
Was
soon.
it him?
I'm not old enough to know that show.
Oh my gosh.
Was it
Why are
I'm
you
not.
dropping not old enough on me?
I'm not old enough.
You're only 2 years younger than me, and you look 6 years older.
He looks very distinguished with the beard.
He
I
does.
didn't do it.
And the tie. I'm not. You must have been in court today. Huh?
I was working today.
Yeah.
Okay, so if everybody doesn't know what David does, David's a tax
That's
protester.
the eye.
We protest. Last year we were in 29
You'll
counties
never
in
forget
Texas.
it now.
That's terrible.
We work on Jason's properties. We work on your property.
Yeah.
Yeah, we work on quite a few.
And then something you told me today I didn't even know about was how many years have you been a real estate broker?
Since 1997.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
22 years.
That's crazy.
So you were a real estate broker like straight out of high school? Because I can do the math.
I'm glad you just figured that out.
No, because
I-
I'm 39, and when you said 97, I'm like,
Yeah, that's like.
wait a
I
minute.
graduated in
I'm like,
Yeah.
That's right out of
I
school.
graduated high school May of 2016.
Jason,
I was
how old
in
are you?
real estate in March of
97?
97.
I
good
graduated in
for
98.
you. Yeah, I graduated in 98.
My broker never sold.
You're in the 4 digits.
I'm 5 digits. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so 22 years. What's been the biggest difference in real estate since you started?
A lot of different, a lot of forms, a lot of technology changes, a lot of advancement. You know, when we got in, we were phasing out carbon copy contracts.
No kidding.
Yeah, you were doing MLS on a dot matrix. It was different. Are you about to hit that more?
Brian, don't do it.
I mean, I see it getting ready. I've got one.
It's him.
I've got one in the truck, so don't.
Brian gets started on one drink and then he's already lit.
Yeah.
I mean, look at him.
I'm gonna sign off in like 5 minutes.
So we're soon to get him married.
Everybody
So
else-
You got a DJ gig you got to get to,
That's right. That's right. Spinning tonight.
I'm working the ones and twos.
Brian's soon to get married, so we'll have him.
Hey. I found the sucker.
You said a day?
June 1st.
Who else? Okay, Jason
Really?
gets his second.
Excellent. Thank you,
I
sir.
thought you were just going to be one of the lifelong.
Yeah. So now we've got.
Is it like
So we haven't all of our values from the smaller from Harris anywhere from 5 to 4% properties.
And how many of these poor apartments
Apartment guys,
pay attention?
they're going to suffer the most. One is they're struggling because they can't raise rents to compensate for that. It's just not going to happen. You can't justify that much of an increase. You know, when you've got these new construction or when you've got these older units that are from the 60s and 70s that are with tenants that are week pays or, you know, month-to-month tenants they're not seeing a 30% increase in their income. So they can't justify that across the board just in their housing, much less in their daycare, groceries, fuel costs, because the price of oil is going up right now. It's the highest it's been in quite some time. So you're seeing a lot of factors that are going into things, and people aren't able to make the money to justify the rate increases. So you're going to see a lot of people have to power down on what their profits are to compensate for it. And I think that you're going to see. I mean, we saw a spike last year. Harris County took their litigation budget from $18 to $24 million, and this year we anticipate they're going to have to go even higher to keep up with what's going to come.
Share it.
It's
To go back to the multifamily piece,
Yeah.
are you seeing that at A's, B's, and C's across the board?
across the board.
Okay.
It's across the board. We're seeing it with retail as well, and retail really shouldn't see it. Retail is taking the biggest hit of it all.
Yeah.
When you've got e-commerce business as high as it is, and you're seeing the malls go out of business, you're seeing other things. It's hard to see retail really have an increase like that, and it shouldn't be having an increase. You've got mom and pop stores that are in these strip centers. You can't get any more for a manicure, pedicure,
Oh, yeah.
or for dry cleaning a shirt or anything like that to justify the increases that we're seeing.
So what's going to happen now?
That's nuts.
There's going to be unfortunately, there's businesses that are going to go out. It's just going to be a sad thing where you're seeing the government not take care of the money that they're receiving and not spend it properly. Because you have to think about it, if we're in such a great economic, Houston as a whole, we're in a great economic position right now. Development's strong, real estate deals are strong, everything's doing really, really well right now. And if they can't keep up with the money, Stroh's on Friday. If you can't keep up with the money that's coming in right now, what's going to happen when the money goes down? When it's not there, is the biggest concern that a lot of people are having right now. So it's just trying to be cognizant of what's being done right now.
That's eye-catching. I didn't really know that commercial was struggling as bad as it is. I don't know how people are going to stay in business.
Well, you know what? I get all these PPMs like monthly from all these.
What's a PPM?
So private placement memorandum. So it's it's essentially the formation of a little company to go do a deal, right? A lot of times you see it in multifamily. That's the ones I get all the time. And so these guys are, typical new investor. They got a couple $1 million bucks. They're trying to raise a few $1 million to go take down a $20-30 million apartment complex. And they're typically buying like low-end Class B and Class C assets. So when you look at their PPM, it's got a pro forma in it. So you got a trailing 12. This is what happens the last 12 months before we bought it. And now we're going to look at this forward-looking financial statement that says we're anticipating 5 to 10% a year rent increases, and we're anticipating this and anticipating that. I bet they didn't anticipate 5 to 40% increases in property taxes.
No, they're not. They're typically looking at a 3 to 5. They're trying to use it on the same index as what they're seeing their insurance rate in a lot of cases that I've talked to people, because there always is an increase in a lot of the expenses that the owners have, but they're not expecting this high of an increase, and it's hard to justify it. Yeah, you can justify it if it's new construction and you finally just finished the project and everything else, but to see it in something that's been a stabilized old project,
See you, brother.
Older project. Take care, Zach.
Thanks, Sherman Williams. Uncle Williams.
When you see these older units that are taking such a hit, because these units can't get that much a door. They're depreciated down. Their life expectancy's back to zero. It's just really hard to justify that. Yes, there is cash flow on it, but yes, you have to take into consideration the maintenance. You have to take into consideration the risk that you're doing, because these aren't Class A tenants.
Yeah.
These aren't Chevron, Shell, Exxon, MB Anderson, tenants that are in there for the long haul. These guys can be gone overnight.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to worry about.
Okay, so where do you see the biggest single-family jump from last year to this year?
So you're seeing a lot of jumps all across the board. Clear Lake took a big jump up this year in some areas. You saw it in Deer Park in some areas down there.
I love Deer Park.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah. I'm from there.
I'm sorry.
I know. But there's been increases across. Like last year, we saw some. River Oaks took an increase last year, but this year it took a higher increase that really wasn't warranted because the mini mansions and the mansions have taken a slowdown. There's still movement out there, but you've still got some that got foreclosed on. You've still got some stuff that's slowing down. So those are things that we're looking at. Like Maryland, where we had so many flood properties from Harvey. There was a lot of guys that went in there and bought them, thinking they were going to churn them,
and they haven't.
and they haven't. They're having birthdays on these things being on the market.
That is a
birthdays.
They're having birthdays.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
David Nettles.
Yeah.
So there, when a listing has a birthday, that's never a good thing, and especially at that price point. Because a lot of them, you saw it out off of I-10 and like Eldridge, you saw it in that area as well, and there was a lot of these flippers overnight, not like y'all, but flippers overnight that came into it, thought they had some cash, thought they had somebody that could help them turn and burn, do a couple of flips and make some cash, and they're barely walking out with their shirts.
Yeah.
And now Bear Creek's going to do well this year. It's going to have a big increase because
Yeah, I'm loving that from a cash flow standpoint. I'm looking at what that Bear Creek looks like, because I've got a couple of them.
yeah, you've got some, and several guys that did really well on their Bear Creek properties, and they're holding them. They're not, where a lot of people were thinking that Bear Creek was going to be a buy and flip, they're buy and hold it.
Yeah. Oh,
and which is doing great for that market over there to restabilize it. But I think that we're going to see a lot of stuff in the Meyerland really take some hits this year, just because, one, you had an increase this year. In October of this past year, Harris County finally changed their guidelines on new construction as far as what the retention was going to be, residential and commercial. You've got some new guidelines on the new construction that's going to cost more to build new homes in these low-lying areas. So I think the lots are going to have to get right on the pricing, and I think we're going to see that over 2019. I think we're going to see some corrections in the pricing, and that needs to be there. We've seen corrections every decade in real estate has corrections in values, and you've seen it in, where it gets inflated a little bit, and then we correct it back down. But the high rises, for instance, the high rises in the Posto, River Oaks, inside the Loop, are taking a little bit of a hit this year. We saw it last year, and then this year we're seeing the sales that are coming out from last year as far as what the values are. HCAD pretty much maintained the same values as last year. Harris County will not voluntarily reduce the value of the property unless it had substantial damage that they know about. But you've got the Cosmopolitan, you've got the Astoria, those properties over there that you were seeing 30 and 40% discounts on these units selling because they had birthdays or multiple birthdays on a listing.
I love birthdays. That's hilarious.
And they couldn't, and they're not moving the units. People aren't. You've got too many $1 million to $5 million penthouses out there. Too many choices from these properties that are out there, and so there's some good buys right now on that. I mean, if you're looking at high end and placing tenants and something like that, there's some value out there on those.
We've been flirting with the idea because I've looked at some of that stuff. Literally, I mean, you can have on one side of your screen, you can have, I think it was the Chronicle, and I think it was Texas Monthly. Somebody produced a map where it shows projected impacted houses by Harvey. And then literally you can have HAR like on the other side of your screen, and you can see stuff over, let's say, 180 days. And they follow those
pockets.
Little pockets of flooding. And so when you start coming up the bayou there, and you're coming in close to 610, right there on Braze, and you look at either side of Braze Bayou, and you look at some of those properties, and you look at what they're going for, or what they're listed at, and you're like, man, we are going to rue the day that we did not buy stuff in Westbury at $250,000 and it was a tear down. Like, those values are going to go up at some point.
They will.
New construction, right?
Yeah.
So you think, okay, well, what can I do with that thing now? You can't flip it. I think that flip market is almost completely gone.
Oh, it's horrible. I mean, there were several that either filed bankruptcy that just completely failed on what they were doing. You know, they were robbing, they were buying these properties and they were thinking they were going to flip them enough to keep the cash flowing to keep finishing one out ahead of them, and they didn't. There was a lot of subs that got, that didn't get paid. There's a lot of contractors out there. There were some problems that I heard and that I saw.
There was some guys that would show up to the RCC, and they were acting like big kahuna right after the flood. Oh, we got a escrow, we got X, Y, and Z. I haven't seen those guys in probably 7-8 months.
No, they're ghosting. I mean, we had them as clients that were calling in, and you get worried about them. And so you ask them for a credit card as up front because you have to. And when we went to charge some of the cards, they were declined. And we were just on the list of people that weren't going to get paid.
Yeah.
And so this year we're anticipating this year. I've spoken to other people that saw the same problem. So we're going to be a little more cognizant and a little more. Do a better job of checking out who we're doing business with to make sure we are getting paid, because a lawsuit, a judgment means it's worthless.
It's pretty worthless.
So we don't want to be in that business. We don't want to hold a bunch of paper that's worthless out there. But I think there's some good deals. The east side of town, Edu, is really strong. That Harrisburg area.
Oh yeah.
I would, that's a really good little market to be in right now.
Yeah, but that's also the market that's really been kicked in the nuts with high taxes.
Yes and no. If you're looking,
all of 77021 has doubled. Like, you cannot. I don't know how anyone is going to be able to survive over there with 100% year over year. They've gained 100%. Like, if your land value is 100 and this year it's 200, and your improved value is 15,000 and now it's 18,000.
Yeah. The land has gone up, but there's ways around that.
Okay, that's why you're here.
Yeah. So we were pretty successful in keeping our land value sustained.
Let me just say something. Yeah. I know all of the workarounds. Jason knows all the workarounds on protesting taxes.
Right.
Okay. There's only one person I know that goes and protests taxes and does it, and I don't know why Ryan does it, but he likes to go down to the city and do it. But there is,
because you're cheap.
Yeah, that's why.
Spend the money.
Okay, I missed. This is no lie. I missed my court date.
Your hearing, yeah.
I missed my hearing. My hearing was final. I messaged him immediately. I was like, David, I missed it. He goes, send it to me right now. I'll go down to the city. I'll protest. He went down there that day. He goes, hey, just want to let you know. Like, this is 2 hours later. He goes, hey, you have a reset hearing. I need you to sign this paperwork with the office. I gave him power of attorney over protesting my taxes. He said, I need you to send me my HUD. I sent him over my HUD. 289, 200,000.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy. Like, that's great. You can teach me. I know all those things. At the end of the day, your job, what you do best, is protesting taxes. So it doesn't matter all the tricks and tips he can give you. The best thing that you can do is let the guy with the tips and tricks do it.
It's the same way with everything. At the end of the day, Jason's got relationships with different banks. You've got relationships with different contractors, different folks in your business. We're always wondering what he's got.
I have no
up his sleeve.
No one knows what the hell I do. DJ.
But we all have. I mean, when we talk about business, it's all about relationships. And I can go and think that I've got the best performer. I think that I've got the best financial and everything else. And I can go talk to the same banker that Jason's got a relationship, and I'm not going to get anywhere near the terms. I'm not going to get the same deal or anything. And I understand that. But where I'm, I guess where we're all strong at is that. And when I see the people time after time after time after time, I know what I'm looking at. I know what I'm doing, who I'm going to deal with. I know how to
Knowing that, I think the key
it's just like you getting permits.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
It's like I'd rather hire you because you work with these guys all day.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
It's like they don't know me. I walk up. Who's this guy?
No, you just hit the nail on the head. Like when he was saying, "I'm at the permit office," but I made Brian go with me when he was in. He's 1 year out of this learning, phase.
Oh, that's cute. You're not a rookie
Yeah.
anymore. Look
Broke
at you.
chair.
You broke your chair.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good. Roll it.
Just keep going.
Good job. No, breaking your chair.
At least you got the milk off.
So
Gotta delete
we
all
go up to I get red tagged on one of my houses.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, first of all, I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm yelling at the inspector. Brian's like, whoa, what's
Which is
going
what
on
you
here?
always want to do with a regulatory agency.
Yeah, you always want to tell them that you are smarter than they are, and that
Yeah.
So,
that they're
so
I'm
they're
Curtis Warden. And they were like, who?
yeah. Who are you? That's not on my paycheck.
Take a number.
That's not on my. That's not the signature on my paycheck.
No, you're like, here's your second red tag. Bam!
How do you like me now?
I had a birthday on that permit too.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's so
my permit, I'm closing out, right? And or whatever, I'm starting. And here's the big deal. I've dug holes for a foundation. He's funding the project.
Mhm.
We've dug all the holes. We have concrete. We have concrete coming in 3 hours. We have concrete coming in 3 hours. We're digging our final holes. We don't have like 3 holes dug, like the rebar put in correctly. So the guy goes, "I'm sorry, I cannot do it." Well, that Saturday, guess what we have? We have rain coming in. So I'm like, fuck this. I said, I tell you what, I'll go to your boss and I'll find out. So I go up, I march up, we bring the plans up, and I go, "Rick, here's the deal. I've already dug holes on this, and he rejected me. His next time to come out is going to be Monday. By that time, those holes are going to be full of water." He goes, "Well, you know what I would do?" I said, "Pour." He goes, "That's absolutely right. Just give me an engineer letter." So I just went and got an engineer letter. Engineer letter is going to cost me $150. An overtime inspection at the city is like $295 for someone to come over on the weekend. It's 50%. I'd rather just pay for an engineer letter.
Well,
Yeah.
what's the cost to canceling the board and getting?
Oh yeah, I mean, they're time value of money. What's the interest clock? I mean,
But my interest is $100 a day. You're absolutely right. $100 a day.
you got interest, you got taxes, you got insurance, it's time value of money.
We always calculate just off the cuff math 1.5% of the ARV. That's our carrying cost. You can sit down and calculate it, but at the end of the day, 1.5% is about the right number.
But if we go back to who you know, another thing is, and I say this all the time, like anyone gets on there like, who do you know who protests taxes? David Nettles. And he can tell you every single time I tag him in and I go, my taxes last year were $289. He got me down to $200. No, that.
Yeah.
Like anybody else out there getting $90,000 wiped off their taxes?
Jason writes me a few checks too.
No, I've written a couple of checks. My favorite one is I sent you a house that we eventually homesteaded. So I think the tax value was $325, something like that. We bought it for like $140 or something like that. And I see your email come across. It's like, hey, here's the new value. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking like, is this right? Like we literally got it for what we paid for, which is probably about, the thing is a huge piece of crap. And I could not write him a check fast enough. I was like, yes, this is great, perfect, 50% value.
But I mean, isn't that all? Okay, so what is the fee? Someone works with you.
We do variations. We'll work with anybody from a contingency fee to a flat fee. We want to make sure that it's something that they can pay. One, and we're.
Is anybody here before you finish that thought? Anybody else need any? I think
I'm good.
I think we're good. Contingency fee.
Well, we do contingency fees. We look at portfolios as well. If you've got multiple properties, then we discount that, to make sure that we're doing right with you. And then the flat fees are something that we look at. A lot of our single family, residential people, we do a flat fee for them, just because we know that they can budget for it. We know they can pay that amount, and we're not trying to gouge them on what they're doing, so they can pay it, because most of our folks are just normal everyday people out there with a family and they're just struggling to make it in a lot of cases.
Last year, how many properties did you protest?
Just right at 3,300.
That's crazy.
Mostly in like Harris County. Fort Bend?
Harris, Fort Bend, Galveston, Montgomery, Polk. We were as far as Freer, so down in getting close to Mexico. We had stuff down in South Texas as well.
Were a lot of those guys that were investors in Houston that have property in those areas?
They are. So, and that was a lot of what I do is, my guys that have, you start off and I have your apartment complex, then I get your house because we've got to take care of yours, and then I get your admins, and then I get your workforce because they see what's going on in the process, and you start educating, your team that they need to be doing this because the team may have a $150,000 house and you have an $800,000 house, and they think, oh well,
that's only for that guy. It's only for the rich guy.
It's only for the rich, and it really needs to be the people that are at the lower end is who need to protest it the most, to be honest.
Sure.
Because when we're talking back about Harrisburg and the east side, those people, I try to do as many things like this to educate people that they need a protest, no matter what the value is, no matter where it is. When people say, my value didn't go up from last year to this year, that's when you protest. You stand on the gas because there's probably sales. There's probably something in that area that's going to show that there needs to be a reduction in your value.
That is a pro tip right there. Yeah, your taxes don't go up. Like, I don't need to protest. They're like, no. That's blood in the water, right?
Yes. and we've had a lot of people contact us in areas like with Harvey. They said, oh, they didn't do anything. They didn't raise them. And I'm like, it should be zero. We were going after land values during Harvey, and people were saying, oh, you don't need to reduce my land value. It's going to sustain. And then it didn't, like we just talked about. So it'll be fun.
How fun has it been since you've been doing this so long to see investors start out like a little portfolio, 3-4 houses, then watch that?
Those are great. I mean, you love to see everybody do well. And that's the American dream. You want to see people, come in with a dream, aspire to do well, and have, good teams, good friends, good working relationships that allow them to really do well. They employ more people. They because it's like when you go to a house, Curtis. Everybody says, how many employees do you have? And you sit there and you say, oh, I have an admin. No. You've got hundreds, almost thousands. When you actually sit there and when you break it down all the way to who made the nails, to the guy that owned the timber that was cut for the 2x4s, everything that's involved. There's so many people that every time there's new construction, somebody did the math on it one time, and it was really fun math looking at the pie chart or the flow chart as to how many people were affected by one house being built or a subdivision being built. The folks at the bank, the investors. I mean, nobody talks about that. They think the bank made money, the builder made money, and that's it. It's like, no, they employed so many people that made money in the deal. But it's always great to see people do well, and I've seen quite a few do that. I've seen some guys that started off and they were doing well, and then they've just catapulted. And we've got one investor right now that's just slamming it. I mean, he's really done a very good job. He's got a great team that he's been able to really do good by them as well. And he's got great relationships with some banks here in town, and he's a multi-family developer and just doing really good things. So I'm excited to see everybody do well.
It's fun to see it grow. It is fun to see these guys grow.
Oh yeah, I mean,
start real small and then just got to start.
I mean, when you see a guy that starts off and he's flipping, $50,000, he's buying $50,000 houses, and then
that was me. That was my life. I was thinking about what to talk about today, and whenever I called you, right? And I called you, and then you were like, "Oh, it's your birthday," and I just cannot. I can't even. JB will be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I can't imagine going back and getting started when I got started. When I got started, it was 10% was my interest into a property, right? right?
10, 10, 10. That was a big deal back then. 10% down, 10%.
No, 10% was my interest.
10%
Like,
interest, yeah.
not my interest rate, my partnership interest.
Oh.
So I was giving away 40% or 90% to the guy who had the money and 40% to another guy named Robert Hammond. And then I looked at today and I was like, man, I would. What?
Talk to the camera. They want to see your pretty face.
If you guys have any questions about taxes or Brian's doing private lending and note financing, right?
I buy notes.
Or people just randomly call him during the day and talk about they're getting ready to do a career change, and he spends like 15, 20 minutes talking to them about their bullshit sales job that they're going to go do.
Consulting, psychology.
Anyone here that's still with Brian?
So what do you look at when you're buying notes? Do you have a particular part of town that you like?
Because I'm still new, so the notes that
This is really cool. I like this part.
I generally buy is, and again, so typically I start off with Harris County. I like Texas-based notes because I can actually drive by the property and see, in the event, worst case scenario, I have to take back the property.
Right.
At least I know these neighborhoods. I know these areas.
Right.
I like notes because they pay monthly. Usually it's a 9, 10 to 12% interest rate if you're buying them from an individual.
Mm-hmm.
But it's different than being a landlord, which is what I used to be 5 years ago. I had 4 houses. I used to cash flow them.
Mm-hmm.
But I still had phone calls I had to answer to, and still had to, deal with the tenants and maintenance issues, things like that. Pay the taxes at the end of the year.
Right.
So with notes, it's pretty much pure profit,
Right.
And that's why I like buying mortgage notes or lending, because it just creates an income stream that meets my investment criteria.
He's talking about mortgage notes.
Oh, I like those.
All right.
I'm sorry.
JB loves notes. We did this on Jason's first interview that I did with him when I was hosting a different real estate happy hour. I asked everybody the same question at the end of the deal, which is, if you had $1,000 to your name, you lost everything, and you had to start over, what would you do? And his deal was, I would go to Scott Carson's class, learn all about buying distressed notes.
Yeah.
And a lot of the notes aren't just with banks. A lot of these notes are with out of town, and like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
People who lend out of town, and they're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with this. I need to
I'll
do
tell
something.
you what, one of the things that's opened my eyes is we've become the unofficial bailout team for private lenders. Lenders who are in different real estate clubs that we're in nationally. That then they met somebody at a real estate event, and now we're like friends, right? We're part of the same group. So they start lending money to this person, and this person, that may be a nice person, right? But this is their first deal. They don't know what Hurricane Harvey blows into town, and then I get the phone call, or I get the message on Facebook. Hey, Jason, I heard you're the guy in Houston to contact for this kind of stuff. I don't know what to do. I've got this note. I've got a property that's had 2 birthdays now.
2 birthdays.
And the borrower has not paid me. What the hell do I do? And I'm like, you can sell it to me or you can foreclose.
One of the other.
But they're really sweet people. I'm like, yeah, so you can foreclose or you can sell it to me. Well, what about, you have 2 options here. It's foreclose or you can sell a note to me. And I think there's a lot of these real estate investor notes. In fact, we're looking at 2 properties. I think Rob's looking at 2 properties tomorrow that they were foreclosures from lenders, from real estate investors that thought, oh yeah, we're going to kill it with this Hurricane Harvey stuff, and we're going to end up buying it. We're literally buying them all in. I think we're going to be at like 68%, and we're talking about not even flipping them, maybe just go right into Airbnb, which I know kind of our second topic for today. But I would do the note space. My background is better suited for notes than it is for construction and rehab and all that sort of thing.
When you do the notes, what are you typically looking at on those?
It depends. I mean, if it's a Houston property, and I could sit there and back into a UPB that's within 70%.
Wait, hold on. For everybody,
your
what's
acronym.
UPB?
So I can get into a deal for an unpaid balance.
Unpaid balance. Okay.
That's 70% minus repairs, which is not a huge discount for some of these guys. Then I'm looking at, then let's go do the deal. Now, if it's a deal where we can take that property over and turn it into a rental property, we can pay more for it. So I think if it's in our wheelhouse because our end goal is not to go in and fix the buyer. Like, I'm not calling them up and maybe we can do
Counseling,
this.
yeah.
Like, I'm not doing any of that nonsense. I want to go in and take the asset.
Right.
and not the note. I want to take possession of the actual house. So the way I look at it is just like I would any other real estate deal that I'm buying.
Sure.
Now, conversely, if you look at a lot of what Scott Carson and a lot of these other guys teach, is they don't want the non-owner occupied stuff. I'm like, send that to me, because they want to have a conversation with the borrower. Well, maybe we get you turned around. Maybe if you do this, you do that, you're at 50% UPB, which may be 80% loan to value, right? I mean, it just depends. There's unpaid balance, and then there's what the actual assets actually worth. So there are these two different metrics that you look at on the note side. But I also don't go out of Texas because I don't understand.
Same way.
You don't understand the laws.
I don't know anything.
Judicial, non-judicial.
Yeah,
like, am I
And
gonna
you
go
can't
to-
see the property. That's the deal.
Yeah.
That's been my biggest thing that I've tried preaching to people over the years is stay in your backyard.
Yeah.
You know, because you know you look historically over the years from the 20s of real estate investors. They didn't go do. I mean, other than Conrad Hilton, you know,
Hilton.
Hotel.
Yeah.
other than Hilton,
Who's Conrad Hilton? Of the
Yeah.
hotels.
yeah,
I used to date his daughter.
I'm sure you did. Paris. Paris. I saw that video. But other than that,
Did you see their sonogram? Yes, sir.
I did. But I always tell people, stay in your backyard, stay where you can see it, where you can touch it, where because when I used to be in the rental business and having tenants and stuff, the best people that I had keeping track of my properties for me, besides myself, were my yard crews. I would never let the tenant mow their own grass, and I've realized that because the yard guys would tell me, "Hey, these people are packing up,"
Right.
and we knew how to handle that.
Yeah.
So but things have changed. So
That's a good point. One of the things I see is a lot of folks in Texas that are investing outside of Texas, and I'm like, why?
because they get sold on the idea because they think of what real estate values are in Texas and how stable our
need
market
one?
is, but then they look at something in Detroit or one of these other armpit cities. I mean, I remember when
And they're like, Detroit's so cheap, and I'm like, it's cheap
Should
for
be-
a reason. It's
Yeah.
a big piece of
No one
crap.
wants to move.
yeah, well, I mean, I remember when we had the mortgage meltdown and all that was going on, and somebody sent me an email for a house. It was a mansion that was on an entire city block, took up the entire city block. Beautiful historical home. And this thing, if we had it here anywhere in Houston, would have been $1.5 million plus during that time period. If it had been sitting in River Oaks, it would have been $500,000. I mean, 5+ or more.
Oh, wow. 5+.
It's pretty.
That's
pretty
a hefty
awesome.
deal.
It's a big. Well, it takes up an entire corner. It's a big.
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
No, that's most of that is land value, though, right?
And improvements. I mean, this was a solid big piece of house.
What was it selling for?
$400,000.
Oh, did you see that there was a house on Belmont? Golly, I need to look at this address real quick. Okay.
Where was it?
Monica Hale sent this to me. 3222 Oakmont Street. Just sold. It's 4 beds, 3 baths, 2,821 square feet.
173.
Sold
that's
for
insane.
173 REO. Auction.com.
Let me see.
We'll see if it closes.
Look at this.
I'm not convinced a lot of those.
No, it's
auctions-
already sold.
Oh, it's already sold.
It's already closed.
Was this a flood?
No, it was just on auction.com. It's an old property. I just think people like that, you just never know. You never, like, sometimes everybody, I think you and I have said the same thing.
Yeah.
I watched Marilyn Phipps, and Marilyn was on MLS before getting on MLS to find deals was cool. Marilyn was doing it. Marilyn David. And that's her little niche. She gets on there and she finds those little properties and makes offers. Thank you, sir.
But I mean, that's the deal of it. And do you do that, Jason? I mean, because you get so many deals thrown at you.
So I will tell you what, we have finally cracked MLS. I have finally figured out how it because I've tried different systems. The Maryland system really didn't work for us because I think the type of assets we were chasing after are a little bit different. But we finally figured it out in the last 6 months, and that's where I'm buying a lot of my stuff. I'm seeing. Here's what I'll tell you. I'll give you the pro tip here. You cannot set up search criteria in MLS. Oh, dude, it's going to totally take trouble. It's going to keep running off the table. You can't set up search criteria in MLS to find a deal. What I look for, and I feel like the MLS whisperer, I will open up MLS and I put in a couple of little different criteria. But literally, I look for the outliers. I'll give you a great example. I'm buying, if you look at her on MLS, I think she sits taking it down. And we're supposed to close week after next. The way it's listed is a 500 square foot house for $400,000 in Surfside. And you and I both know that will fly down Surfside, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, why does she want so much for this damn house? So I log in, go through the realtor notes, and the realtor notes say it's a lot with 4 separate houses that we're doing week-to-week rentals, and she's making $1,800 a week gross.
Right.
Pick up the phone. Hey, what's going on with this deal? Yeah, it's really weird. Like, nobody wants to buy this house. We negotiated these group of houses.
Right.
So we negotiated the deal, get it under contract. I send it up to my lender, get the appraisal back. Appraisal completely tanks because it's not comparable to anything else. So we talked to a couple bankers. What about income approach? All that kind of nonsense. We get nobody that wants to lend on it. So we call her back and say, hey, will you do owner finance? And I didn't know what she was going to come back with. She goes, you know what? I'll do owner finance. I'll do 20 years at 7.5% on a 20-year AM. Done. Done. 20% down. So I'm going to end up, I don't know, $78,000 out of pocket. This thing's bringing in $1,800 a week gross. I think we're going to make probably $4,000 a month just on this thing. But that's a deal that's a perfect example of if I set up my search criteria for 322 in the burbs, you'll never see that.
Right. And that's the way I found some land deals. And it's because instead of looking just for land, I put in the size lot and I left the improvements alone because you'd find a teardown that was on there.
Oh yeah. There's all kinds. Here's what's amazing about this market. It's so damn big. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly inefficient. That's what the longer I do this, I realize this market is so inefficient. Even the stuff that's on MLS. So if you got literally tonight, I'll have a couple beers here. I'll end up at home tonight. I'll fire up MLS. I'll sit there with a couple of beers, and I'll go this one, and I literally take. I'm so like old school. I feel like I invest like my dad would, right? I don't know how to. I just take pictures of like the properties, and then I'll send them to my agents and say, make an offer on this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And
when will you be? When are you going to be closing on your Galveston property?
April the 19th or 15th. Yeah. Okay.
So how am I going to battle that one on?
I don't know. I was going to ask you about that because I think the challenge is on tax rolls. It's 340 maybe.
Oh, I know how to do it. Wait, I know how to do this.
Please tell me.
Okay,
please tell me.
Okay.
Whisper in my head. Right. Tell me the secret.
The way to do it is you have to have the seller submit the form to you in order to protest. Then you get to take that over.
Oh no. We're not worried about that.
What are you talking
about? We were talking about how should I go about protesting the value?
Because the deal is when you look at it on CAD down there, which is Brazoria. So you look at Brazoria CAD, it comes up as like 500 square foot house.
Right. So it's going to be an interesting. I mean, I think it's going to be.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see how we because this is one of the fun ones that we get to do. So another thing that we've gotten to doing since Harvey is I invested in drones.
Oh, that's awesome!
I like this.
Well, you learn how to fly them. They look kind of tricky to fly.
I fly better than my little brother did. He flew one into the power lines.
And you're like, well, it goes.
So your little brother's working for you?
He does some work for me from time to time.
Okay.
But not flying drones.
Not flying drones anymore. But yeah, I thought he's 20 years younger than me. I thought he could handle that. But obviously his Fortnite and other skills were
Whoa, hold on a second. Your little brother is playing Fortnite.
I don't know what he plays, but
Well, he said he's
that's
20 years younger. So
yeah.
he's like 20
I-
years old.
he's 21. Yeah.
Ask him.
I don't know. I don't know what video games.
Ask
The
him if
only
he-
reason I know that is because it's on Fox Business, and it's a stop, and it's the one they talk about. That's the only reason.
My son is theme park lover.
I don't know anything about that. I don't think he's bad deal.
That's his Fortnite name. Theme park lover.
Oh.
Oh boy.
My oldest son is like, he's like, Dad, I'll smoke you on this game. I'm like, I will play it. I will crush you.
Okay, do you know that this is amazing? So my daughter sends me over the deal. April the 13th starts a 10-week Fortnite tournament.
Whoa.
10
weeks.
$40 million
Oh,
is the
wow.
tournament prize.
In fact, I think all of you that are making offers on MLS need to enter this tournament.
Yeah.
$40 million. They take 100 people or 100 kids from each zone, right? And then they all go to New York.
Yeah.
At the end of 10 weeks.
Yeah.
They
I
go
heard,
to New
I heard
York.
there was an Asian kid that his parents disowned him over all.
Right,
this.
and this kid's like made like $3-4 million
You're right,
a year. Yeah,
Yeah.
saw it.
So yeah, with the drones, what we're doing is that the districts are buying into different. Some districts still use a Cessna plane that fly over and look at properties. Some are using a really high tech Google Earth called pictometry. Harris County spends about $400,000 a year for their software, pictometry. Theirs can get within, I think it's 2 to 3%, and they can measure your house. They can measure the pool. They can see your new outdoor kitchen. They can see the kids' treehouse, and all kinds of things with it. There are ways to still get it blacked out.
Yeah, I was going to say, so how does it work?
Yeah, that's their stuff. But for my clients, we fly. If you will email me and let me know that you have a roof damage on anywhere from a single family home on up to a warehouse, which warehouses are our sweet spot. And we did this for apartments as well. And we were sending them out to our clients. And we had a client that had roof damage. Nobody had climbed on top of this roof. The insurance company was offering them a certain dollar amount. We sent him the video from the drone, and comes back and he's like, "Hey, we probably owe you some wine from you flying your drone out there for us. I know that you're going to bill me, but for the tax reduction, but I probably owe you some nice wine because you just got me a couple $100,000 more than I should have had."
Dude, that's nice though.
So the drone has really, really been a ticket for us. We've enjoyed being able to do it for our clients. So I'll be flying it the rest of the week, and just I can do about 20 properties a day.
Well, can we talk about the latest investment that you made last year?
Which one?
The one that I'm so excited about.
Which one would that be?
The one where we get to watch Netflix and chill inside of it. The movie theater.
I did not buy the movie theater.
Oh.
You backed out of the movie theater?
Yeah. I didn't buy the deal.
Okay, what is the last investment that you have made?
I bought an additional. I bought one of my neighbors out
See if I can yoga
at
myself
our
in here.
ranch.
Okay.
I bought them out in January. I'm hoping to buy out 2 more neighbors later this year.
To give you how much land?
A little bit.
I know, but how much is a little bit?
Yeah. It's over 100.
Okay,
Acres?
that's good.
Yeah. We're looking at just different things that I want to do. I'm
What
trying
are you wanting to do with that additional land? That is a good question.
I want fewer and fewer neighbors around me.
I hear you. Do you like it for hunting? Do
Yeah,
you-
yeah.
Are you a
No, I'm far from it. No, I just don't.
David Nettles is a doomsday prepper?
I want no one around me.
No, I mean I just like to have my space, and I like to.
He's a bicyclist.
Yeah, bless his heart.
There you go.
I got a truck.
Good luck.
But no, I mean we've got a pine tree plantation on there. I've got some cows on there. We're part of a syndication that's raising some pretty nice deer up there right now, and I'm just having fun. So it's I'm trying to get to where I can office from there and not be in Houston all the time.
They
I
was
can-
mod- they
I-
was
you know,
modest.
it's so funny. We had the same conversation with a couple of guys today, where it's like you get to the point where like I just want to do the fun stuff.
Right.
Like, can I just do the fun? I don't mind the work. I'm like I just want to do the fun work stuff. Right?
I mean, I love coming in. I love doing the hearings. It's where I power through it. You know, I know that I can. I know what my numbers are, and I know that I can do the hearings well. I mean, I can do all of it. But am I good sitting in the office? No.
yeah.
That's the most worthless place for me to be at is to be in the office, unless I'm doing prep.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, I don't need to be there. Nobody wants. I mean, nobody really needs to talk to me on the phone because I'm not that great on the phone with people. You've got 1 minute, and
No.
after that, I'm gonna say, let me email you.
Okay, so
I just
Yeah.
emailed you that.
Don't
too.
call me.
Yeah.
Don't text me, bro. Don't call me.
okay, so like on a April 15th right now, you can't get your tax person on the phone. You can't get a meeting with them. They're all like shut down in a little cubby hole or
I get
whatever.
my text guy on the phone.
Well, okay.
Here you go.
I got a national.
All right, Tony
you guys need
Robbins.
somebody, I got a guy.
You
All
got
right.
the guy.
I got. It's a team out of they're in California and Utah.
Warren
Like,
Buffett over here.
Yeah, no, I pay too much. That's the problem.
So, okay,
But a little,
When-
what little Quest Trust plug. You guys need to make your 2018 and 2019 contributions before April
the 15th.
the 15th. Yeah.
Into what? Your IRA?
Yeah, and the
Your
IRA.
HSA.
Okay.
Oh,
Can
look at that.
Can we talk about that, please? I really
Yes.
want to know more about this, please.
What's that?
Okay.
I want to know more about
First weekly.
using your IRA for buying real estate.
okay. Oh,
I-
that is a brilliant question.
I
That's
really
a great
want.
question.
I really want to know more about this because I've tried googling it, and I keep getting nowhere. And I thought that I was usually pretty good at googling, and I mean I like to be googled, but who doesn't like to be googled?
Who doesn't like a good Googling?
Who doesn't like a good Google? But
Where do you like to be Googled?
All over.
yeah,
Tax free.
tax free is how I like to be.
That's my Googling.
Yeah. But I want to know more about that from a standpoint of how, because I represent, your clients and other clients out there that have taken their IRAs and they've put them
Yeah.
into, they're obviously doing something where it's still working for them.
So here's the two, and this is the easiest way to break it down.
Okay.
You can go down this rabbit hole for literally years, right? And there are people that know way more about real estate than I do that have never bought a piece of property that will tell you the 900 ways you can use your IRA. But here's what I'll tell you. There's two ways that I think it makes it inordinately simple for guys like you and I that are buying real estate. One is notes. So
Yeah.
Curtis is going to do a gorgeous house, literally over here or wherever. And Curtis, you need how much? You need $300,000, $200,000,
500,000.
I don't know. I don't do crap in this
It's 200 for the land,
Okay.
$125 a square foot to build.
Okay. So he needs $500,000.
Yeah.
So my IRA or a couple of guys' IRAs, we partner, lend Curtis the money, he goes and does the deal. There's two ways we can do that. We can do it, technically there's three. We can do it debt financing, equity, or a portion of debt and equity. Do the note, right? So Curtis goes and does his thing, makes it gorgeous, makes us a ton of money when we're lending. The second way to do it is in syndication. So we've got a friend of ours that does apartments. He's like, hey guys, I need $10 million for a $30 million deal. We get a whole bunch of us together. We put our $10 million into this syndication, and then he goes out and does this deal. There's probably a debt and equity, or maybe it's 100% equity play. But for me, it's the easiest way to do it is on the note side. Now, actually going out and buying real estate inside a self-directed account, because you may use debt financing, and that may trigger you
Okay. So let me ask you a question. So I've got a $200,000 IRA.
Okay.
What can I do with that? So the money's going to stay.
I know.
So the money's going to stay working on those stocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm still going to get my dividends on my stocks. Then what are we doing with this $200,000? Are we pledging that for collateral?
I would take that $200,000. Let's say maybe it's not a deal Curtis does around here, but somebody needs $200,000 to flip a house. A house is worth $300,000.
Okay.
We're buying it for $150,000. Needs $150,000 in work. The easiest way to do it, this is the way I think it is. You do a first lien position. for $150,000 for the acquisition, $50,000 for the construction,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put milestones for the borrower for the rehab.
Right.
$25,000 or maybe $10,000 pop. So you got 5 milestones. Maybe $20,000.
Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever the number is. That's the easiest way to do it.
So who am I going to, if I'm keeping my money in my account, how are we getting the money? Who are we pledging this money to?
Quest.
You need to take that money and put it into a self-directed custodian. So you got to put it in Quest.
Yeah.
That's who we use, Quest.
Okay, that's what I've seen also. Yeah.
And then,
So you get the note drawn up, and then
right.
you wire the money.
When the borrower starts paying back the loan,
Uh-huh.
whatever if it's just interest only or equity split, it's paid back into the trust, then back in, like if it's in Fidelity, like that's the way mine's rolled into.
Mm-hmm.
Is I had money in Fidelity and I was getting dividends every quarter,
Mm-hmm.
and then I basically put it into Quest, did the loan, and then as it's paid back, it goes back into Quest, and then since Quest pays 0 interest on the money held in the account, you want to move it back into some other until you find your next loan.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, 0 interest.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can move them. You can move it in and out.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
So we're not going to be paying the early withdrawal then,
No.
or are we?
No.
No.
As long as Quest is the intermediary,
Is the custodian on it.
that's the custodian.
Well, you're not taking any money out. You are the trustee of that.
So am I just essentially pledging the collateral? Is that what I'm doing?
Well,
No
no.
collateral.
So Curtis is bringing the collateral.
I'm bringing the
You
collateral.
have to sell
You're
it. You have
financing.
to sell your
the collateral.
shares.
I'm going to sell. So I am
That's
going to sell.
correct.
I am going to sell my.
Yeah, you have to sell it, liquidate it.
Okay.
Fidelity recognizes that in Quest, you move it into Quest, and then you do the loan. And
Okay.
then where the thing's done, the loan satisfied, or the project's completed, Quest,
Okay.
Fidelity.
Then it comes back to you. Thank you.
But the way I'll tell you how, and this is not normal. But this is how we work, where we have lenders that say, all right, I got $2 million. Okay, let's put it in this project.
Mm-hmm.
And when they come out of that project, I just sent one of my private lenders a payoff for a deal I just paid off. Their next question is, what's the next deal?
Right.
So I don't allow that money to go back to Fidelity.
Right.
It literally goes right
Your
back
preference
into
is to
another
never
deal.
go back to Fidelity.
If you've got enough volume going, you could just keep the
Yeah.
lender.
So okay.
Honestly, the stock market's all-time high right now. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I took all my money out of the market. I'm only trying to lose them right now on security-based.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, like if you never had to go to the stock market, fantastic.
I bought 2 properties out of my IRA, and I also loaned money to this too out of my IRA. So
Yeah,
Awesome.
you love it.
I
Love it.
have to go.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I have to go.
We're going to celebrate the cake whenever you leave.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Hey, see y'all later. I got your email.
Okay, perfect.
Nice to meet you. Y'all take care.
All right, guys.
Get your money out of the market.
Get your
Right now, especially. All-time high right now.
Okay.
You know, in the last few months, it's at 22%. But like last week,
volatility. It's
So you
highly
know,
volatile right
I mean, we can move.
now. All right.
We can move that in. All right.
Let's talk about Airbnb.
Okay. Yes, let's talk about Airbnb, and let's talk from the standpoint that 2 years ago when I had you on a guest on my show, Jason Bible made fun of me, and then he went on the radio the next day, and he made fun of me again. Like, all these guys over here talking about Airbnb.
I will tell you what. I'm being called out on another radio show, which I find hilarious.
Okay.
Name drop it or no?
No, because I don't want the cease and desist letter. But here's the.
Oh wow, your deal has like it shows all the people. Okay, well
Oh,
maybe.
you gotta click on it.
I got
So here's what we learned about Airbnb.
you. Okay.
Some people will tell me, "Oh my gosh, Airbnb is great." I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me how that marketplace works." Oh, you just put your house on there and do X, Y. I'm like, no. Tell me the specifics of the marketplace. So I'll give you a great example. There's a portion of Airbnb that's I'm literally renting out the inflatable mattress in my living room, right? Which is not running it like a business. That's
Right.
something else.
It's like I got one bedroom.
Yeah, it's all that.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask a question like, who are professional Airbnb practitioners?
Right.
And I'll get, well, you just put Airbnb out there and you just make a ton of money. Explain to me what that is. And no one can explain it to me. So Robert comes along and he can't sell a flip.
Okay.
So he decides, this was 2 years ago. So he
And,
decides,
and this is exactly the same thing that happened with Ryan on White Oak.
okay. So is it
Well,
y'all couldn't-
I
y'all
put the
could say-
property up for like $650. Property wouldn't sell. We dropped it all the way down to like $585, and then Ryan goes, "Fuck this!
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go Airbnb."
Just Airbnb it because we don't know what the hell.
$635 a day. Ryan, if you're listening, you can chime in with how much you spent.
Yeah. So he had the same experience. But while Rob is doing these deals in New Jersey, I'm asking everybody, I'm like, so how does it really work? Well, you just put it on the website. I'm like, I'm not an idiot. Anybody can read the instructions. I'm talking about the business side. So here's what we found out. The market is bifurcated. This is the real secret to
What does
Airbnb.
bifurcation mean?
There's two prongs in Airbnb. There's the rent the whole house model, and then there's the really big property that you then cordon off by room and bathroom.
For all the dumb people, I'm here for you.
I
UPB, unpaid balance, and bifurcation.
Well, we get Scott on here, and he just goes off. So, anyways, so you've got these single dwelling assets. And when I started comparing, I started asking people, like, oh, I do Airbnb. I'm like, okay, so what do you do in Airbnb? Well, I own these like little 1,200 square foot houses, and they're really close to the business district, and they're close to this and close to that. I'm like, oh, so it's a small house. And then I'm going to ask other successful Airbnb people, say, what do you have? Oh, I've got a 3,000 square foot house. That's a 5.5, and then we cordon up.
5.5.
I'm buying one in Corpus right now that's 4.5.
Okay.
So you've got two options, and there's no middle ground. When you really look at profitability in Airbnb, there's no middle ground, which is classic like business school crap they tell you. Like the people in the middle get run over, the guys at the side are the ones that make money. And so you either make money in the smaller properties that you can rent the whole property out. So 1,200, 1,000, 800 square, teeny little properties. Or it's a really big property, and you rent by the room, and it has its own full bath. So that's what we figured out at Airbnb. But it took 2 years to figure out, because you go to these conferences, you talk to different people, and you get all this like different information, and then you figure out, oh, this is what consumer sentiment is in Airbnb. I either want like a little room, or I want a small place, and I want the whole thing. So that's what we figured out in Airbnb. So these houses that we bought down in Surfside, the debate we're having right now is short-term rentals, because we're doing a lot of business with guys that are doing turnarounds in Freeport and other work, or do we do Airbnb, because they're small enough to where they're little 2-1s, one's an efficiency. You can easily put 4 beds in there. So is it a family that's doing, a long weekend or maybe a week at the beach versus guys that are doing short-term rental?
I definitely would do, in my opinion, I would definitely do right now, the family at the beach, 1 week, 4 beds.
Yeah.
Right now, until I hit September.
Yeah.
And then I would transition it over to the 90-day cycles with the guys in Freeport coming in and out.
So here's what I know now. We're getting $7,400 a month gross, and according to our conservative, like 65%.
That's what you're currently getting.
That's what we're currently getting, $7,400 a month.
And how much is your debt service?
My debt service will be $2,156.
Okay, $2,156.
It's crazy. Those are short-term rentals. Now.
And then what's your insurance on that though? That's everyone's.
It's going to be $3,500 a month. I would add in total taxes, insurance, because we got to pick up electricity and all that other stuff, because they're short-term rentals. They're not responsible for that.
Right.
Add another $1,500.
Okay.
So we're at 36, and we're bringing in 1,800 a week, 36. So we're bringing in 782.
So you're roughly cash flowing 4,000.
Yeah. Then you swing that over to Airbnb, and when you look at those 4 months, because you really got 4 summer months, right?
Right.
Those 4 summer months, we're projecting very conservative. This is where Airbnb, the numbers don't even make sense. When we look at partner properties, similar properties are what they're renting for, 65% occupancy rates. We're looking at $20,000 a month gross. So you start comparing these numbers, and if you're guys like us who are traditional real estate people, look at those numbers like that. The first number for short-term rentals doesn't even make sense. This really doesn't even make sense. Right. But that's how kind of this making. But the difference is that we're buying it so cheap, right? Like our debt service It's not like this is a $2 million property we're renting out for.
What did you buy it at?
Bought it at $330,000, which was $100,000 more than where it appraised for. But they gave me terms on it, so I'm buying it for $330,000. I'm putting 20% down.
Whoa. Okay, hold on. They're giving you terms.
Yeah, that's a 20-year fixed at 7.5%.
20-year fixed at 7.5.
On a 20-year AM, it's like $2,200 a month.
I like this.
So,
I was trying to tell Burr about the unicorn.
What's the unicorn?
The unicorn property is the owner finance property, which you deal with owner finance, right? It's the owner finance property where the owner may have been paying like 9 years on the property. The property is maybe at the same price, if not a little bit more than what they owe on the property. Would you buy the property?
Depends what my end goal was.
Okay, let me give you an example. They need to sell the property at $135,000. They've been paying on it 9 years. They're willing to give it to you straight up.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Just take me out of the property, pay the closing costs, so it's $5,000, whatever, and you're going to be able to rent that thing out for, let's say, $1,400, $1,500.
Yeah, I'll do that today. As long as there's no rehab,
Okay.
not big rehab, I'll do it
Okay.
today.
So,
Keep existing financing in place?
okay.
Hell
So
yeah,
Jason,
you got 9 years.
let me ask you the same question. This is whether it's
I paid
Airbnb.
even more for that.
Oh, okay. Now you're getting ready to get where this is the good stuff, y'all.
You need to run what's called an amortization schedule, and
Oh.
that'll tell you everything.
Jason, why are you teaching people just basic real estate education? This is so weird. Okay, so
I don't teach that. That's somebody else's job.
let's say the house is worth $115,000.
Okay.
Would you buy the house at $135,000 with a 9 or 10 year already paid off by the seller? You're just assuming the
yeah.
mortgage.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You were shaking your head no. Why?
Do you have that deal? Can you send it to me?
I don't have the deal.
No.
I don't have the deal.
No, but he and I have been talking.
we
We
have a
we talk
property.
about this stuff in the car.
Okay.
We talk about this a lot.
We have a property in Humble, but we had it's already been
Yeah,
rehab.
tell him about the property.
Okay.
It's listed
Ask
for
him if he would buy it.
Financing that's in place. It's only been paid on since 2010.
Okay, so you got 9 years on it.
9 years on it, and the balance on the mortgage is roughly 143. That's where we're at right now. But the house that we're listing with a realtor
Okay.
for, let's just round up, 190.
Okay.
And then anyway, that's Chris was saying, why don't you offer this as owner financing or something like that? Or
I said, hey, tell him that I'll pick up the property. He offers it owner finance. I'll pick up the property. He goes, well, you can't rent it out. I go, what is it going to rent out for? Will it cover the debt service? He goes, yes. I said, sold.
I mean, the cash flow on that house in that area,
Zero.
it's basically 45. It's 1960 in between 49 and 59.
Okay, yeah.
That area. So I mean, I would say rents are somewhere around
2-story
1,600.
house.
I don't know.
And I could turn around and owner finance it. I could owner finance it at
I'll
like
tell you-
10%
well, I'll tell
interest.
you what, I'll tell you the play on that one. Here's the play.
Ooh, this is
You
good.
buy that owner finance, you sit on it 3 years, and it's worth what, 189? You said 180?
That's what we're listing it at. Yeah, it's probably 5 overpriced, but yeah,
Okay, so that's probably 220, 225.
down the road. Right.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. And I'll tell you where that gets really sexy. So there's
Where it gets really sexy is when you tell them no refi, no no mortgage. You cannot refi out of the property.
But I could, if Kristen's watching, because I know she watches a lot of stuff we do. Kristen Gerst up in Dallas, like we'll sell. So 189. So let's say you go in at 140. I want to say, let me make sure I got the numbers right. 139 or 149.
So 143 is the
143.
remaining mortgage.
Okay, 143, 189, right? So go and buy it. If you can get it for 143, great. You got this 189. Offer owner finance it. I don't know. You can offer owner finance 205, 210. And then literally go, once you have that note performing, I don't know what it is, 6, 12 months performing note, then sell that note. Kristen buys this stuff all the time. She's a performing note buyer. Sell that thing and then go do it again. But do it all in the IRA. because I think that's where notes make a ton of sense.
So help me out with this. So the guy that's selling the house is a friend of mine, right?
Okay.
His goal of listing the house, selling the house, was to pay off existing consumer debt. That's his goal.
Okay. So it's not. I got you now. Okay.
He needs to clear $25,000 to be debt free.
Okay.
That's his goal. So I'm going to sell the house. He's going to live. He's got to.
So I told him, hey, I will pay you $25,000.
25 on top.
You
of
just
1.3.
give no. I'm going to give you the 25. You're just going to give me your note.
On his notes from
So it's basically it's a wrap, right?
And then
existing financing.
I'm going to wrap him, and then I'm going to double wrap someone
you're
else.
You're in at 168.
Yeah.
Right. How's that?
I mean, it could work. So you buy it.
So his interest on his note is roughly.
When I double wrap it, I'm at 8 to 9%,
How would you perform?
and I'm at 20% interest. I'm not even using my own money. I'm using the buyer's money to wrap myself into the property.
Yeah, because you're going to take 20%.
So you're going to take a down payment
Or
on
10%.
205, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm only $7,000 out of pocket.
I love the interest rate arbitrage. You've got a little bit of equity. Take 20% down.
Yeah.
Here's what I like about houses below the median home price in Texas right now. Those houses.
And the medium home price is what? 232, something like that.
I don't know. 125, 130. Dallas is 240. I'm sorry, 235, 240.
Yeah.
Dallas is 250, 260. San Antonio a little bit less.
Yeah, I think it's like 232 is what I came up with.
I think that appreciation curve on that stuff at the median home price and below is so much more rapid than it is above that median home price. So worst case scenario, you take this thing back. You're a rehabber, so you do things a lot cheaper. If you got this is the big lie that owner finance people say. Oh, well, I want to owner finance property instead of being a landlord because then I have to never take it back and I don't have rehabs. I'm like, bullshit. You will have to foreclose at some point. Somebody's got.
And I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that.
Because you're a
Rinse and repeat.
That's right. You're right. But you guys are tacticians in this, right? Like most note guys are, I just want to do the note, but I don't want to touch it. I don't want to get my hands dirty. It's like, look, if you want to get your hands dirty, you're probably going to take that thing back. The big lie being told in owner finance right now is, oh, well, I don't want to own this as a landlord. I'd rather own it as owner finance. And I'm like, great. So what happens when the market changes and you got to take back 50% of those properties? And now you're back into the landlord business.
That's even better.
Yeah, it is. For us, it's even better, right? Like, we don't care.
For the
right?
professionals, it is.
That's right. If you've got a real tactical plan on rehabbing properties, if you're like a practical investor, I love it, right? I'm like, let's just take them all back. I don't care. But a lot of these guys are not those kind of folks. So to go back to this deal, I mean, it sounds like a pretty slick little deal.
That's what I was trying to tell you. It helps him out. It helps us out. He lent money on the rehab.
Yeah. So Fast Track did it was a lipstick flip. 11 grand is what it cost to fix it.
Oh my gosh, I'm surprised they even did one that low. I mean, they're always a little bit.
They did it.
Yeah.
They did the flip, and it looks
Probably
great.
done in like a week or something.
Yeah, it's about
2 weeks?
10 days.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, it looks good. Great remodel.
I'm gonna be right back.
And so, anyway, so that's where he's at, and so that's what I was telling Curtis. He's a close friend of mine that I was trying to help him out. My girls listed the property, and so he needed the money to renovate the house, and I lent him that. But he just wants to just be done with the property, not necessarily go through where he's got to keep his existing financing in place under his name. He doesn't want to do that.
Right.
I mean, I understand what Curtis is saying, and yeah, that would make complete sense from an investing standpoint. But honestly, he doesn't want his name attached to the house.
Okay.
And that's the problem with doing the wrap is he's going to have to keep the existing financing in his place to not trigger the due on sale clause, right?
Unless you buy it in the trust, that won't trip it either.
You could do that, yeah. But he does. I mean, my buddy is like does not want to like learn. He does not want to understand. You know what I'm saying? Like
His name will still be on the mortgage.
to coach him through all that, it's going to be.
But I think I the issue with the due on sale clause, do you have the cash to go and take care of that if it's an issue? Right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? Let's just do this.
Let's roll the dice.
Yeah, and you just have a conversation with him. It's like, look, man, if they call it due on sale clause, just pay the damn thing off.
Yeah.
Right? He can always, if the note is written up correctly, he can always foreclose on you guys.
Yeah.
So you do an owner finance, and then he comes back and says, well, I have a note to you. So he's got an underlying mortgage, and his note to you guys is the exact same. Actually, it wouldn't be. It'd be $25K plus, right? So you guys pay him $25,000, and he gets his cash. And then if there's ever an issue, he forecloses on you guys. And then he takes property back to sell the
Right,
asset.
right,
So, or at that point, he takes it back, depending on what you guys feel of renting it out. That's where it starts to get a little complicated. But you guys are renting it out, you guys start to rents all that stuff. Y'all have sold the notes. And that's where I have not been in a place where I've had to foreclose because I don't do reps to.
Right.
That makes sense. So.
The easiest way, like I understand what Curtis is trying to do, but for us, it's better just to sell the property and be done with it, you know.
You've been doing this for a year, so it's like, man, it sounds really complicated. Just sell the damn thing.
Well, he's my close friend too. I don't want to have to
I've never had to do business with friends, so that's a whole different territory for me. So.
He's a guy I grew up with, but anyway, so that's it. But yeah, you know Kristen too? You know Kristen Gerst?
Yeah.
That's I'm good friends with her too. Yeah. She's been awesome.
So, she does all that performing stuff. She does performing stuff that's reasonable. Is probably a good way to.
Hey, Michael Alexander's right here.
Hey, about time.
Michael Alexander.
Thanks for showing up.
What's the sign?
Brian.
You know what this sign is, right?
Oh, we're about to get.
Oh, Brian, nice to meet you.
Oh, this is fun.
Come on, sit down.
Hang on, man.
We're live on Facebook.
Chili fries.
What is going on, guys?
Michael Alexander's right here.
The two stopped in.
Mike, can you give us the flat Earth signal?
It's just like that, you know?
I'm gonna get me another round.
Yeah, I'll do the brash wagon.
Whatever you want, whatever you got.
Your trash wagon?
Trash wagon.
The brash wagon.
Brash wagon. Let's see here. Where? I see brash milk. Where's brash wagon?
That's the tame name for it.
Oh, it is? What is it? Oh, there it is.
So if you're gonna be on the podcast, you gotta throw these on.
Oh, yeah.
Is that all right? Just so we can hear you.
Why not?
It's not even connected.
I'm sorry, man.
Okay, this is Brian.
Yeah. Good to see you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
again.
This is Amy.
Amy.
Yeah.
She's with us. She's helping us out.
Okay, so
Get some knowledge.
this is awesome. Let me see here. I had this thing.
We have a total of 800 viewers. Is that right?
It looks like 6.
Okay.
6 are left. We've had a long line of people who have been on and off. And then
Is this Jason's phone?
that is Jason's phone. Send his wife a message. So I guess we're waiting on Jay to come back. Yeah, see, we're live.
Awesome. So how's the deal hunting?
Deal hunting's good. We just get these that come over on the text message every couple days. We'll get something. What'd you end up getting?
Yeah.
Oh, that's him.
Yeah, it's the brash wagon.
That's him. I'm Crawford Bot. All right, this is nice. Someone, a fellow wholesalers, just jumped on board. Okay, how long have you known about this place?
Reply to your fans. I said, "This is
Oh
great.
man, we came
This
opening
podcast
day
is
before
probably
the opening day.
That's a Trumpism.
It's probably my best ever."
He stole his phone, hacked it, and messaged
Look, yours
himself.
is good, but this is probably.
Okay, have you been here before?
Yeah.
How many times have you been here?
Too many to count.
You live right across the street on the other side of 45.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I live
Wait,
two
pretty much
streets
your
over.
house move or what?
Yeah, it's just like, hop, skip, and jump.
Yeah. So, had a message today on Facebook from our old buddy Chris Funk. He is in Austin.
What podcast you doing in Austin?
He's with Will Dinker.
Oh, I got invited to this, but I couldn't make it because I had a 1:30 meeting.
You jackasses. I'm just going to tell you. I messaged him. I was like, bastards. I'll put it on Facebook.
Well, no, I was supposed to meet with Will today. We got I think we're going to have a little side project going on.
Oh, nice.
And I had this 1:30. I could not. This guy, I could not.
Do you know Will?
So.
Yeah.
The godfather of wholesaling?
Virtual wholesaling?
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do?
Will is not a virtual wholesaler. Will is a feet on the street wholesaler.
I know Will just from the Real Acquisitions time that I think we were all up there together, and he said he did some virtual wholesaling, I guess, for like a year or two.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a picture. He and I are having lunch on Friday. I'm gonna say, hey guys, I'm working with a new real estate investor here, and I just want to see how many people.
You know,
nobody's gonna recognize.
Hold on, you know that he gets pissed when you actually post him.
Oh, I know. I'm totally gonna do it.
He gets so upset. He gets butthurt. Are you coming to get on?
Yeah.
What are you waiting on? They're going to bring it out here to us. They'll bring it out. What are you working on now?
Here, if you want to get on the podcast, you just got to throw these on. Thank you.
You don't really have to. No one else has got these on.
You got to hold this.
It's not even attached or turned on.
Is the audio?
But it
working?
makes
I didn't even check to see if the audio.
Yes,
working.
people are listening.
Okay,
Testes.
Testes. There you go.
Yes.
That's all Beavis and Butthead.
Where's this at?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Amy.
Thank you, buddy.
You hear this like your first year.
Cheers.
Cheers, salud.
Look, man, I'm just trying to make.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Like,
That's right.
Cheer, brash wagon.
Right.
Every single time.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
All around, all around, all
That is your
around.
beer.
Oh,
I was
water.
using your beer to
Oh,
cheers to
cheers.
yourself.
That's
Cheers
actually
myself.
vodka.
Is that like liking your own post?
This is pretty much the greatest podcast I've ever done. He stole his phone and wrote that down on his on the deal.
It's probably,
The greatest.
it's probably
Cheers.
pretty good, but it's not. It's excellent. But it's
Okay,
not the greatest.
literally. Okay, literally. I want to tell you this.
What's that?
The most
Going
vi-
downhill from here.
This is going to go downhill. No, this is going to go uphill from here. The most viral Facebook post that I've ever seen.
No, the Vincent Pelosi one is the best one today. You were not on that one. This
Okay.
is like 3 years ago.
Okay, well, let's say the second most viral.
There was probably $1 billion in net worth on that one post. Would not surprise me. The amount of guys that were on there. Was
But how
crazy.
good?
Break it
How
down. How
good
did it
was
go?
the recent posts? The
Oh, it was
recent
good. It was
thread.
good. It was good.
We had how many comments were going back and forth?
a gazillion.
For which I don't even know which post.
You do.
Break it down. I'm lost. I don't even know which one.
Okay, so Chris Funk, I guess, did a wholesale deal or did a deal with you, wherein he listed it with you or with your wife.
Yeah, that was a deal he listed with Marissa, my wife.
Okay, he did a deal.
And I
Um,
think he said he lost like 13 grand on that deal.
lost 13 grand on the deal. And he said, and anyway,
Hey, come over, George. I don't think you live very far from here.
George, where?
George Mata.
George lived, like last time I checked, George lived in like, what, Memorial? Yeah, he lives like right down by City Center. You're going to have to speak louder. It'll pick up. But if you got to speak louder.
Oh, there you go.
He's got a bunch of projects
Fuck
here.
around all the time, so.
So, y'all, you got on there, and then I can't remember what started it, but no, I think I did. Okay, so I didn't know the back and forth because I can't see any of your stuff anymore on Facebook because you blocked me.
You blocked him?
He blocked me
Yeah, it's a little awkward.
because he posted one day about some T-shirts, wholesaling T-shirts, and I go, "You're selling wholesale T-shirts now? Your T-shirt sellers?" And then next thing I know, I was
Shit,
blocked.
is that how you make money as a wholesaler?
But
See,
we,
these T-shirts, MAO.
I just want to let you. I want to let you know that
What I did is I started making all my own company T-shirts in house, basically.
Yeah. Hey, Curtis, it's not bad at all because that's the whole reason why I'm here with Alexander because he kind of like did the same thing to me. So
Yeah.
I came here to just talk it out.
He did the same-
Air it out. Air it
You,
out.
however,
Air out the laundry.
has gone for about 2 years. He's blocked me, so it's funny. He's blocked me. He's blocked him. So,
I didn't.
on
I
Facebook.
didn't block him.
Curtis
No,
doesn't
I didn't
You
block
guys
him.
take this Facebook shit seriously?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. That's why. I mean, I'm like, okay, so let me reach out to my boy Michael and have a couple beers to.
I
No,
block
this is
blocked
serious.
everybody.
I
Fuck
just
my
figure
mama.
I don't give a shit what goes on online. So I'm like, but maybe that's just
People
me.
do. People really take this stuff seriously. I'm like, here's the deal.
What?
So there was a house right down the street here. One.
Right there
Actually,
by-
it's right here on this corner.
Yeah.
This girl named Amanda Corral is selling this house. I go, this is a bunch of bullshit. She's selling it for $369. It's not worth anything. She had it listed. It had a birthday and a half of a birthday. And I'm telling everyone, I know Brooksmith. I'm building here in Brooksmith. You're overpriced. What the fuck do you know? Intero gets on there. Katie Kosov, whatever, Vesso's wife gets on there. They're all okay. This is like a broker for Intero. They get on there. Everybody's Everybody is fighting against
Probably
me,
good
okay? Because I'm coming. He posted on there. I think you posted on. You tagged her in there.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was like, "Fuck it, delete." Just deleted a whole group of people.
Everybody's added back on though. Now.
No one's added back on. It doesn't really matter
Yeah,
when you meet people. When you meet people in public, I have nothing against. I have nothing against them personally. I'm not sure if he has anything against me, but it's just the way that people respond on Facebook. Sometimes it works for your thread, sometimes it doesn't. I would say.
Here.
Let's
Yeah.
get back to
Hey,
the
you're
most
here.
epic post ever on Facebook.
All right, yeah, please
Oh wait,
explain.
Jason, you got to get on.
So the most epic post ever. I was at the Flying Saucer at like in the afternoon,
Yes.
and I'm checking Facebook, and I had a couple guys with me, and I'm like, what? And I'm reading this post, Chris Johnson posted about wholetailing.
That's what. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Vincent Pelosi gets on. This dude from Florida.
Yeah. Have you
It's
know?
just
You know this guy?
something like
You've never been virally molested by Vincent Pelosi.
I think I read about other people's encounters, but no, I don't know.
This guy literally starts bashing Chris, and then everyone, like the who's who of Houston real estate. I kid you not, it was $1 billion in net worth. Because there were guys that I didn't even know had Facebook accounts that were following me, that were in there, and they were like just crushing this dude. And it took place over 6-7 hours. I mean, it was like in the week.
I was in there.
It was insane.
I was in on the deal. This was
usually-
right after. This was
Usually
right.
attacks,
This guy was
wholesalers
saying,
about
like,
illegal
Yes.
you get
wholesaling.
hotel
Yes.
property, that's all bullshit. It's
Right.
real estate guru stuff. And it's like, so basically take a house, you gotta clean it up.
This was
and
the
then you
same
sell it
night that I
to
did
a-
the
could be to
post
an
about
occupant, might
the
be
post
like
at Shipley's Donuts saying I'm fired up for real estate investing, and Ross Alex got pissed.
And I
You remember that one?
It was the
Yeah.
who's
Hey, I'm always fired up.
like
I'm lit.
I love Ross.
And they were just like crushing this guy for 8 hours.
Hey, thank you for.
Yeah, and
Thank you for
it
the
was
beer.
so funny. Then there are all these
Thanks,
side
thanks.
comments
Yeah.
and stories, and guys start screwing with other guys.
You missed it. Sherwin Williams was here and bought the first round
So there's a couple guys that have
for the
screenshots
first hour. We're on
of
like
posts, and they're hilarious. So you will randomly see on Facebook, someone will
we're on
post
like
a
hour number 2.
screenshot like this.
Yeah.
You know, here's this one section, everybody starts laughing about it. But it was like the epic Facebook post I think I've
Okay,
ever
well,
seen.
the
It's so
second
good.
epic Facebook post that led into the flat Earth deal ended up turning into all of us deciding that we wanted to get together and go do go-kart racing at Track 21.
Okay.
Okay, but no one could tag you into it because I guess that you've deleted everybody. So we tried to get you to invite you to come to it so that we could all do Track 21 together, and like we were going to do a race to solve all disputes.
Oh, okay.
A race to solve a feud, huh?
Because basically it was like, I guess someone posted something. Anyway, Flat Earth has become this thing where something starts between Sam Craven or Chris Funk, and then the next thing you know, we throw out a Flat Earth.
And then just like randomly people get tagged in it. And I'm like, whenever I log into Facebook, I've got like 300, 400, whatever. And and then I'm like, what is Funk got me tagged in? And I open it up, I'm like, good God, it's a
Yeah, you really
Flat
started
Earth thing. I'm
No,
like,
apparently.
okay, here we go.
It's true, right?
It's totally true.
You
It's
know,
on Facebook, it's true.
definitely.
Oh, yeah, you know.
You know, I just like to keep everybody entertained. That's all.
You can't do that if you block everyone.
You got to add everybody back in.
I just can't. I can't deal with all the drama of all the
Hey.
back and forth shit. That's
Dude.
not my style.
He every now
Well,
and
no,
then,
you can't do the seagull. See, this is called the seagull. It's shit, squawk, and leave. Like, that's not.
yeah,
That's not
yeah. You got to stay.
No.
You gotta stay. If you're gonna,
I like to be
start
like
it
at the
up,
king of the hill and just like disappear.
No, the best is to
Hey,
start
that's
it
what
up.
you-
Hey,
What
be
you
the
do,
instigator.
exactly.
Like when two people going back, and then just throw in a little like fireball.
He's the gift. He's the gift king. So
all yourself like, where the hell did you get that?
Yeah, all of a sudden,
like, does he sit there all day looking like the craziest?
No, he doesn't. He does it in like 2 seconds while we're driving. I'm like, how did you come up with that?
And you're like, hold on, you'll see it before. It's like, I'm coming back later. And you're like, okay. And then like 6 hours later, you edit, and here's this gift.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
So yesterday, he gets. I guess someone posted that they switched their real estate brokerage over to EXP.
I'm about to.
That's
We'll get on
another
EXP in a minute. This is how boring real estate really is. We have to harass each other on Facebook.
So someone posted something about EXP. They switched over to EXP. So we call to confirm, and they're like, "What day is it?" And we're like, "Oh." So Burr. I'm like, "No way." Because he got tricked. So he's like, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna post it. We're having a baby." So he posts it. Him and his fiance are having a baby.
They're like, "Oh my gosh!"
From 10 years ago.
Oh, dude, that's way old.
It's a 10-year-old post. And so someone's like, "Hey, congrats on your 8/9-year-old baby." So anyway, what are you working on today?
Just goofing off, having fun over here.
Okay, but like realistically,
6 o'clock. Yeah.
Realistically, what are you working on in real estate? Where's your marketing heading towards?
I'm excited about Houston and expanding back out to San Antonio again.
Okay. Expanding out to San Antonio.
Yeah, we got boots on the ground over there, and we got pretty much we're buying just for my family. I got 3-4 players that are just buying and selling that we're just basically GCing everything for them. Anybody that wants to be an investor, and we're running with the deals, and got sisters, cousins. I even got a lot of Mexican family that's actually also doing a lot of the contracting. So it's just a family ordeal, and it's actually blossoming. We got about between 10, 20 people overall that are like all getting involved. So it's exciting.
That's great, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Legacy is, that's where it's at. I tell people all the time, the reason why I flip and do what I do here is because I don't have a mom or dad. My kids, I'm on my side of the family, I learned everything that I learned, and I don't know, a lot of people know this. I learned everything that I learned from my ex-wife's dad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's been in Southern Living magazine or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He builds these really.
Can we get him on the podcast?
Oh, dude, I love my ex-wife's dad.
It'd be great if we could get him in here, dude.
I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for him.
So does he know that?
I've told him many times. Okay. His name's Robert Harper. He builds in Corsicana, Texas, but he builds all around there. They have like some lakes around there, and then he goes all the way into Dallas. Mm-hmm. And so he builds these like mansions for people in this little bitty town. And, like Corsicana is the home of like the fruitcake factory. I don't know. Like they make all their money in like 1 month, right? So I watched him go and build all these houses. And like I saw him, his personal house was a 1,200 square foot home. He lives in a 5,000 square foot home today. His 1,200 square foot home started. He shaved one wall, shaved the back wall, and then kept the front and the back. And then built up and all around it. And I was like, that's amazing.
We got to get him on because I love the guys that have done this for like 40 years.
I don't know if he will drive down for that. I don't know if he'll drive down for that. And I have no pull with him because, like, I'm sure his daughter. I mean, like if y'all really want to know something hilarious, my ex-wife is the head salesperson for the Franklin team.
Oh, don't tell me it's Brent.
Yeah. No, not Brent Franklin. Jesus.
We're gonna have a conversation about that. Right?
Yeah, she was in Punta Cana last weekend or whatever that is. Okay, no. Yeah, my ex is the salesperson. She goes out and drives around to the new home sales parts for the Franklin team. They were with Remax, then they switched to Keller Williams, and then they switched and went to EXP. So
All right, so we're starting to get some questions here.
cool. What are the?
Oh,
Okay,
my God.
Kayla's awesome.
How did everyone get started in real estate investing?
Boom.
Go around the.
Let's go around the horn. How'd you get started?
Being broke, man. Tired of being at a job, making, you know.
This is Carlos Zabranis for everyone that wants to know or friend him on Facebook.
Yeah, so I, just working, 9 to 5 and not making enough money. So I decided that, I was just sick and tired of, just working. I was working at a machine shop from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that's, God, Jesus.
What is wrong with us?
7 p.m. And, at the end of the day, just, figured out a way. Did a lot of, I bought my first, how about this? It was really crazy.
What year did you start?
2012. And then I quit my job in 2014. Yeah, okay. So let me tell you back. I was 2012. I was working at a machine shop. In one room, I had my both daughters there, right? And it's so funny. My both daughters were in the same room while I was there at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I stumbled upon Dean Graziosi. Anybody knows that? It's so funny.
Yeah,
It's so funny
at
though.
Night, watching
at night, right?
It was
an infomercial.
It was
infomercial.
Yeah,
okay.
Infomercial.
So I hear
I did
people
the same thing. I ordered the book.
Okay, people say, well, infomercials here and there. But I said, what do I have to lose? I said, I need to get out of this, figure out a way. I had my 2 daughters sleeping with me in one room. Let me get the hell out of here. So, so I ended up getting the book, and then I started reading it, and then it was at that point where I started implementing his book, which is, it came out a section on there of wholesaling with no money, right? Going into detail with it, right? So then that sparked the interest, and then after that was YouTube, and then after that was, applying all information, and then.
How much money did you spend on education besides the book? Which I think, what was it, like $19 or something like that?
I don't know. I think free, just cover the shipping.
Right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's right. It was.
$19 shipping.
Yeah, like $25.99. I mean, $27 or something like that total.
And then, how much more money did you spend on education?
Oh man, I was really broke, so I don't know. I think a total and all, just little seminars here and there, no more than $2,000 or $3,000.
Okay, when did you go from reading the book, working at a machine shop, putting a couple deals together, to I'm doing this full time? What was the turning point?
Good question. When I started going into YouTube, right, I picked up, obviously it was like lead gen. I mean, how to get sellers, right? So then I ended up doing for sale by owners, doing cold calling on the weekends. After work, I was cold calling, and then I stumbled upon one seller that was a burnout house in the southwest side of Houston. I called him and I said, "Hey, I see that you're selling your house for $7,000." He says, "No. If you pay the closing costs, or just take it out of my hands." He was out of town, and I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" Yeah. If you can take it out of my hands, because I'm out of town, I don't want this property anymore. I don't want this headache. I don't want this HOA. You can have it. And I'm like, okay, this is a scam, right? So then I end up going. I look at the property. It was a 2-story townhouse. So long story short, 2-story burnout, and just the second floor was burnt out, one room. So I said, there's potential here. This is my first deal. Okay. So I ended up having no money at all, but I went to an attorney down the street off of 1960, and he actually helped me. He coached me through my first deal. He knew I didn't know anything. He knew I wanted to buy a property, and he was an old school attorney. He was an old school real estate attorney.
So when you went to the attorney, and he said he knew that you didn't know anything, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I think
when people come to us and they pretend like they know stuff, it's like the biggest turnoff.
So let's back up for a second.
All right, hold on.
Were you honest with him, and you're like, "Hey, this is like my first deal"?
You know what it was?
Fake it till you make it.
No. To be honest with you, I was. Yes, I did the whole pitch of like, hey, I can buy a house cash here and there. So that was the number one line, right? Number two, once I got more genuine with him and said he had a problem, a real problem. So I think it was a blessing, because he actually really did have a problem, and I was there to solve a problem, right? So then after that, I figured out, okay, this guy really needs my help, and I'm in here. I took advantage. I was here local in Houston, and he was out of town. Therefore, I said, hey, I'll go to the home, I'll look at it, and if it's something I work with, yeah, I'll take it off your hands. It was simple as that.
So
But
what was the property worth?
Oh man, I think like $75,000.
And then what did you end up selling it for?
Well, I got it for nothing.
Right.
But here's the funny part, because I started right after that. I had a contract from online from YouTube, and sign up, give me your email, and then they sell you those products, right? And you get your free contract.
You get your free template,
right? So I'm like, okay, hell yeah. So I don't even remember anymore, but I filled it out, sent it to him. He sent it right back. I went to the attorney. He's like, what the hell is this? He's like, what the hell is this? No. I need you to do a 1 to 4 page track contract. Oh, yeah. Do the whole thing. Okay, so you're
No custom contracts, kids.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, so what year was this, real quick?
2012.
2012.
And
that was deal number one.
Number one. And so I got it, but the fun part about it is I didn't even know about closing costs, right? So I'm over here. I opened escrow at the attorney. It was at attorney office.
Okay.
And so he opened escrow and everything. He's like, okay, title's clear, paid off, because it was an insurance thing. That's why the guy was just, he was done with it. He already got his insurance money.
He already got his money.
And it was funny because once I got it, he was like, okay, so, you ready to buy this property? We can close next Friday or whatever. I'm like, hell yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, it's like $2,400 something. You have to bring it closing. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, shit. I'm like, I don't even have no money.
So how did you get that done?
It's a pretty awesome story.
Okay. This is good. This is the gold nuggets right here.
So I had to think outside the box. I had to figure out. I was like, how the hell am I going to get this money? So I ended up using Rosie. You know Rosie, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're like, let's get payday loans. Figure it out. I had to figure it out. I had no.
Rosie's his wife.
Yeah, Rosie's my wife, and she's been with me from the beginning. I love her. So I said, okay, we need $2,000 something. Okay, we have no money. I think I had maybe $400 or $500 or so, right? So we needed the rest of the money. So we ended up getting like 3 or 4 payday loans. Like, it's weird. It's like ridiculous. But we ended up getting it and closed on the property. And here I am. Well, here I was with my first real asset that I owned that was worth $75,000. Only one section of the house of the second story was more smoke damage, so I seen the potential of it. So here I am, right? And then after that, it's so funny because I was thinking I'm gonna fix it up little by little, with my money, buy some, fix it myself, get some contractors here and there. That didn't work out, and then I started getting bills from the HOA.
Oh,
that was funny. So after that, after 3 or 4 months, I'm like about to get sued or something like that. So I said, fuck it. I went on Craigslist, put it for sale, made $13,000. I put it for $12,000 or so. I got 13, and that was my first check. I remember getting that check, and I told everybody at work, I said, I'm gonna be a real estate investor. Well, I am. Right. And I'm gonna do this full time.
Okay.
And I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
Okay. So he made $12,000 on this first deal.
Hey, that's not bad.
Yeah. Then he told everybody. He basically deuced everybody and then gave them the middle finger at work. And from 2012 till we're in 2019, so that's 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than a lot of people can say.
Yeah.
This industry
and adapt.
Yeah.
A little bit.
How many deals have you done in that time? Because his company is
300.
called American Property Buyers, right?
Yes.
Coming down there.
I'd say around over 300 or so.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And if you base it on doing 10 deals a month, a year for the last 3 years, that's only 300. So I'll probably close to 400, 400 or 500.
So I mean, look, once you get to that level of 300-400 houses, you're in like a very exclusive club. Like Eddie Ant has got 140 doors, right? And so at the last podcast I was with I'm doing a podcast now with Eddie. the hour before his super investor meeting. I interview Eddie for 20 minutes, and we interview several other people. I interview Eddie, Richard Drake, Dr. What's the guy? Mark Dotzer, the economist from Texas A&M, the real estate guy. So I encourage everybody to come out for that. It's the third Wednesday in April. And I've learned so much about Eddie interviewing him in that process. But while we were there, while I was talking to Eddie, Chris Funk was right there. And so we were like, Chris, how many doors you got? He was like, 140. It's like, and I already asked Eddie earlier that night how many doors you have. It's like 115, 120. I love doors. Doors is such a great indicator because if I ask you this question, I know this is what brought him to selling Right Path. But I'm just saying what brought him to selling Right Path was that realization of we're giving away all these great deals. How many deals would you go back today and keep?
Yeah, no, definitely, especially in Independent Heights. Yeah. Independent Heights, right there by off of Main.
Ooh,
I was buying those properties, contracting them around $14,000-$15,000. Yeah, I mean, to this day, I was like, damn, if I would have kept those, yeah.
Have you done the math?
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I think I did.
Like you'd be a millionaire.
No,
yes.
no. I mean, what are they? Like
10 houses, you'd be a millionaire.
Yeah, $100,000. Yeah.
10 houses. All you needed was $140,000 for 10 houses. I can even. I remember each and every one of them that I contracted. The most that I paid for one was around $24,000, and I wholesaled it for like $32,000. I'm going to come back to you. The question that I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to go to Amy next. The question that I'm going to come back to you is going to be private lenders.
Okay.
How would you structure your deals today? Do you have it?
Okay.
So I'm going to come back to you. Amy, how did you get started in real estate?
Well, I started about 3 years ago. I had a decent job, but I knew I didn't want to keep doing it. I wanted to be my own boss. And I was attracted to real estate. So I've done 2 or 3 gurus and spent a lot of money.
How much?
I don't even want
to
say.
Be honest. He went to unfortunatebuilders.com. Okay. You're an unfortunate builder?
That was my first one. Yes, I need this. But so far I have 3 rental properties. Almost a month ago to the day I lost my W-2 job. So now I've decided to do this full time.
Congrats.
So
sometimes God comes along and he just kicks you in the ass and he's like, get out there
exactly.
and do it.
Because I know I have all the knowledge. Believe me, they all had stuff that I learned from. I just been too chicken to do anything with it. So I need to get past that. So I surround myself with people that have done it. Hope I can pick up something more.
Amy, what is stopping you from having the life that you want? Or the lifestyle that you want today? What's the obstacle that's in your way?
Money, probably.
Money can't be an obstacle.
Yeah, true. Me?
Okay, what is it about you?
Well, I'm afraid to fail.
Okay, the real reason we called this podcast the Epic Failures Podcast because I think he's a big failure. I'm a big failure. I know he's a failure. This guy right here, he looked failure in the eye and said, hey, middle fingers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's different parts of failure, right?
Sure.
To be able to embrace failure and look failure in the face and say, I don't care if I fail. I'm just going to go ahead first.
Correct.
That takes guts.
Yeah, an example is maybe going on 8 months ago, I had a great team. I had to restructure the team. I lost a big part of my team in just different issues, and as you grow, right? People that work for me have grew, and not only that, I didn't have too much systems and processes in place that I should have had. So we're doing deals, but not. We didn't have a better structure. And so little by little, I had to change my team. And
You and I ought
so,
to meet. I'll tell you all about working on a team.
yeah, and then after that, I mean, I felt pretty. It was pretty, doing multiple deals a month to knowing that you have to restructure because that's gonna help you. Knowing doing this is gonna help your business grow at another level. It was kind of painful, but here I am, and it's been a lot better, to be honest.
Can I do a brash wagon?
Okay. I don't know. I was just saying about failure. Yeah. But
Michael,
Yeah.
how'd you get started?
Man, it was pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting.
pretty exciting. Okay.
I was a stockbroker by trade
man.
for about almost 10 years before I quit the trade. And so I was already around a lot of money, had a lot of folks that were interested in different strategies and things for tax efficiency. So I already came from a background of raising money. Throughout the 10 years, I think we did about $300 million in assets under management that we managed. And so I was already highly into sales, telemarketing, doing a tree service from the time I was like 16, 15. And so we just, grew up working and doing sales from a long time way back. And, a lot of that just translated and carried over, especially having been a mortgage lender right out of college, started a mortgage business when I was still in college. Did a lot of things like that. And it was really exciting, actually, the culmination of everything. Really, before I got launched off, I had a lot of irons in the fire going. And I was really, really excited because I had that first property that got away. That first property that got away was an 8,000 square foot multi-unit that I just needed to raise about $25,000 for, and I got the $25,000, but about a week too late. And that property was worth about $600,000 to $800,000 right now, and almost as is in Edo, 8,000 square foot apartment unit on Capitol Street. I can still remember the street name, and that deal was so juicy. I just wish I was able to pull the trigger on it, but that same week, that same month, I had taken a class from Eddie Gant, and Eddie over here I did my first hard money class with Eddie Gant. Thank you, Eddie. And Eddie actually lent on my first two deals, and I did those right out the gate within 30 days of taking my first class.
Eddie's company is called what?
Jet Lending. I highly recommend you guys hook up with Jet Lending and their team over there. Super professional, real easy to work with. And I really enjoyed it because, I just went in head first. I had another guy, having been a stockbroker. I realized he was going nowhere because he just basically broke advising people what to do with their money. I was making a comfortable six figures, but, that's really small potatoes when you start getting into real estate. And, you can swing those kinds of deals in a month. But I was able to flip my first two properties with Jet Lending, Eddie Gant. And that same month, I landed a commercial portfolio from quitting my job. And I had about a $40 million commercial portfolio where we had the downtown city block for sale that we actually sold. And the seller reneged. And it was a $7.2 million city block at Jefferson and Maine. And that was the biggest kick in my nuts that I'd ever experienced up until that point. 3%.
That's a good question.
3%, 6%. I don't know.
What was
I think it was a 3% deal. $7.2 million downtown city block, and I was like,
210 grand.
My girl would have left me over there.
Needless to say, I had a lot of irons in the fire. We had deals selling. I already had 6 deals. I had my first 2 flips going. We ended up making a skinny, maybe $60,000, $75,000 with Mr. Eddie Gant on those first 2 flips. They were the most difficult and challenging 6 months because I bought the property. I bought the property that had the extra driveway that you shouldn't pay. Bought the property that had the extra pool with the awkward layout that you shouldn't do, and it just jump started my career because I was not afraid to fail, was not afraid to go forward, and it was exciting. And all while I realized, man, I needed to hustle, and I got my first 5 single family deals. I got 5 deal package, wholesale, made my quick 14 grand. I basically needed to sink or swim and might make about 17 grand a month, or I was going to be sunk. And so I had the confidence to go ahead and make it happen, and I started wholesaling deals and doing owner finance strategies, and I just started doing it. I was a mortgage lender
the first
also.
person that really took over, not owner financing. I think it's really easy to owner finance like anything under 150, right?
Yeah.
You were the first person on Facebook that was really like marketing properties in the 250, 350, 400 owner finance.
Yeah, we did a few in the $600,000-$700,000 range right off the bat, off of a couple of YouTube videos that we put out there in the universe, and I think we made 25 grand on a couple of owner finance deals that we helped some guys that were repeat investors that regularly bring us juicy deals every year. And so it was that first year I landed a really good partner that ended up doing 10 rentals with us that they converted to subject to owner finance. And since we speak Spanish and me having been a mortgage lender, I could really help assist the people understand the owner finance terms in Spanish.
Right.
But at the same time, we had the gumption to get at the marketing and put out the signs and put out, it was just it was a lot of fun, a lot of things going on, and so just that a lot of things went on to make it all happen and really get launched as we first got started. But a lot of times we hit zero or very close to it along the way.
How many deals have you done so far since you got started? When did you get started?
Yeah, 2013.
And in 6 years, what would you say? How many transactions, deals have you done?
We're somewhere between 300 to 400. I really don't know, but we're between 300 to 400 deals. And right now, I'm switching all of my wholesale deals to no wholesale deals to strictly flipping and or landlording. No wholesaling. If we're wholesaling, we're only wholesaling to repeat business partners, which are just going to continue to be repeat. So,
Cool, man.
yeah.
B.
Yes.
This is Brian Burr, everybody.
He got in real estate like 10 minutes ago, so hopefully your story's a little
Brian,
short.
I just showed up for a beer and I just sat at this great table.
Hey, random guy, get your ass over here.
This is fantastic. We're talking about ROI, ARV. I don't know what that means.
I just got a couple free beers and they threw me in the
Okay,
mix,
so I need to inform everybody that once Brian has more than 2 beers, it's pretty much just smiles and laughs the
Should
whole
never invite
time.
me on a podcast.
He's not the same guy.
I told Curtis.
That's why our show's at 7 in the morning. I'm not drinking by 7 a.m. It's like,
Okay, so we're professional drinkers, but you, on the other hand. Okay, so
Yeah, this is my first Zima.
do you have a Jolly Rancher in that Lima? Let's talk about parties in high school.
Hell yeah.
Brian,
Jolly Rancher.
Brian has a very different road to real estate. He, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody, because I'm going to go to the restroom. I've already heard this story and it's very boring, but everybody else, please listen in.
We got
Really, Brian sold his company for $6 million, and it is legitimate.
Why would you say that? Now I gotta make sure my docs are checked.
Brian sold his company for $300 million to Elon Musk, whoever Ellen is. No, Ellen, his wife.
What?
It's not Ellen. His wife's not Ellen.
Who's his wife?
Elon Musk. It's not his wife.
No.
Anyways.
No good. Anyway, I don't really have a story, really, to be honest. I just hated my job, and I just wanted to do something different.
What's your forte now?
I did medical device sales. So if you needed a hip replacement or a knee replacement, if you broke your arm, wrist, we sold the plates and screws to fix you.
So who are I don't know if you can say, so I was in healthcare. So who are your big clients?
So we our competitors, who we eventually ended up working for, was Stryker.
Okay.
You know Stryker. Yeah. So I couldn't actually get a job with any of those big companies. They wouldn't hire me.
But they bought you. They're like, no, stay on.
Yeah.
Don't you stay on because you got all this client base.
It was the relationships. Yeah.
Right.
We made friends with a lot of doctors, and so So anyway, we worked for them for like 3 years. That was our change of control clause, is we had to work for those big companies for 3 years. And then I started stalking people at real estate events. I was like, okay, this guy looks like he knows what he's talking about. I stalked you. I stalked Curtis. And then Curtis was only the one of the first guys that said, hey, come ride with me. And I said, look, I'd like to invest in some real estate. I don't know shit about nothing. I don't know what I'm doing, but can I just learn from you? And I had met Curtis 3 years prior when I had my job, but only whenever I had that, that aha moment where you're so fed up.
I want to ask this: when did you start stalking? So, company gets bought out.
Yeah.
You're on the non-compete, all that. They put you on the payroll. First year, you're actually working. Year 2 or 3, they're like, "We'll fly you, come out." Right. So, what was that timeline like? When you started stalking people, like maybe I want to do this, maybe I don't.
Yeah. I had seen, I think, Curtis at a Lifestyles Unlimited event. Mm-hmm. And then, but I didn't necessarily know, like, that wasn't necessarily the guy that I was targeting. I was just trying to, like...
Oh, because he's very different than Lifestyles. That's a whole... I was a big member over there. That's a different vibe, right?
Yeah.
So what's your forte now? Like, are you single family, multifamily? What's your forte?
My preference is to lend. I mean, I've done a few flips that were, like, first-time Harvey flips. Made some money on those. Had a great time. But my preference is to lend and to buy mortgage notes. Like, I love anything that cash flows, I'm a big fan of. So I love the fact that Curtis loves to build. I love lending to builders. But honest to God, I love things that pay monthly, high interest.
Really?
That's my shit.
You sound like I need to talk about the details later.
That's my shit. And that cash flows, like, that's why I got out of the stock market. It was paying me quarterly. I was in indexing like Warren Buffett and Jack Bogle. But I liquidated all my shit out of the stock market.
As a stockbroker, I could only pay about 5 to 8% really consistently.
Right.
And for me, it was like a no-brainer. Like there's 10%, 12%, 14% interest only. To be able to switch over to a lending environment, I was like, it's a no-brainer. To lend to foster money or raise money was going to be so much more easy in real estate. Having come from a stockbroker's background, but what I realized is that people that invest in stocks are not meant for real estate.
Right.
It's really like oil and water because it's just unknown territory.
Yeah. My dad, he's a stockbroker at STA Wealth, which is in the the city center area. They have their own radio show. And so I called my dad, this is his last year. He's going to retire. And I said, Dad, I was like,
what time is this radio show on what station?
It's called STA. I don't know.
8 o'clock on 11:10 a.m.
STA Wealth is the name of the company.
I was going to say, wait a minute, I can take his hour too? All right.
Yeah. They that's what they pitch, is they talk about like where the market is, how to, enter, exit.
Bloomberg's on before us, so I don't know who's after us.
Sorry. Bloomberg? No.
Yeah, Bloomberg precedes our show.
The short story is I told him about real estate. I was like, look, this is something that could, once you retire, you have all these clients who are begging to get out of the market. This is a way to subsidize, or at least to give them an alternative to investing.
There's some truth to that. The problem is that when you start measuring your velocity of capital, right? Like how fast can I put money to work? Like you can't beat what's going on in the capital markets, right? Like I could put a couple $100 million. That's why Warren Buffett invests in Apple, right? Like he can go and buy it.
Right.
So the challenge is with a lot of real estate is how do I deploy a significant amount of capital relatively quickly? That's where all these dollars going into multifamily, right? So how do you do that in single family where you're getting some really fantastic outsized returns? I'm doing the same thing. I'm investing a lot of my money now. And but if I have 20, 30, 40, $50 million, how do I deploy that in single family?
It's hard. Yeah,
it's
you're right. It's
really hard.
I can put it to work.
You can't, because our company was bigger than yours.
I can move to Mexico and put it to work.
Yeah, trust me, you can't put that kind of money to work.
What kind of deal flow? I'm curious. What kind of deal flow have y'all been able to do since y'all started, Jason?
So we were.
That's a good question.
We were not. Principally, we were not wholesalers, because a lot of wholesalers, and this isn't like a knock on wholesaling because we wholesale. But if we ran that traditional wholesale model, we could have easily tripled our volume. So we wholesaled as a consequence of our business model.
Right. Even better, though.
Meaning, like, I couldn't raise the money, or it wasn't necessarily a great deal for us, and we would wholesale it. So we would easily do 100 to 150 deals a year. A significant portion of that were was flipping. Like, just, and our flips ran on a 20% margin. So if I'm flipping a $300,000 house, we're making 60 grand. So we were literally skimming like the cream of the crop on
And volume still.
and massive volume, right? If I were to go back
At the house.
and do it all over again, I think if we had worked with a company that was better at wholesaling than us, we probably could have made some money there. If I had built a retail brokerage, we could have done some things there. If we were also in the buy and hold space in a big way, we could have held on to more property. So it was, it just, I mean, you guys know when you get to a point, you start buying a lot of this stuff, there's so much of it that you're just like, not a deal. And you're like, well, if I had a little bit more time, this would be a deal. So when I sold my companies to my business partner in September, like, I literally went out to Facebook and I'm like, guys, just start sending me stuff. Because I'll tell you one thing we were very bad at, we were not team players. Because we built this like little empire and we were over here like doing all this stuff, but we didn't really play well with a lot of people. Well, when I split from my partner, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Just send me whatever you got. I'm like, yeah, just send it over. That's when I started buying apartments. I got this RV park that's going to be great. Like, I just started buying all this stuff. And it worked. The problem is with the empire that we built, I never had the time to sit down and systematically evaluate all the stuff that was coming in my inbox every day. And now it's gotten to a point where Rob wants to hire an LO in our office, a loan officer in our office, to sit in the corner, literally in my office, and I'm just forwarding emails to you and saying, hey, evaluate this, let's talk to our private lenders and say, who has an appetite for this and who doesn't, and then let's match these folks up and let's just go do the deal. So it's a very different, last 6 months have been very different versus the last 6 years. So,
So would you say you're doing? Are you attracted by doing higher volume, or are you attracted by doing a higher quality, more profit margin per deal kind of thing?
It's even more simple than that. It is.
Look at that grin.
I know he's doing something on Facebook.
I'm just loving our own page. I just keep going.
I thought he just
keep going. Love. Like, great.
I thought he just blocked like all our followers.
He's like, just block everybody. There's like 2 guys in the room.
Screw you.
No, I'm in love with your story. I'm in love with your story.
It's good. It's a little awkward. It's a little awkward, but yeah.
No, I love it. I love the fact that this is honest. We had a group thread going around where we said it would be, we bet that you would never show up on the podcast, and we wanted to invite you. This is true. And we said you wouldn't come, and you did. I mean, like, I didn't even invite you. You were just here. It's like God gave me the gift. I had to ask you.
Yeah, it was serendipity, right?
Serendipitous.
Dipidus.
I just think it's great. I mean, aside from, I don't want to ask you those questions because those questions really have nothing to do with real estate. I just think it's really cool that you're here. Like, even though you may not get along on Facebook, at the end of the day, you still have to have your circle of people around you that, and you have to give credit to the people who are doing good deals.
Yeah. Well, actually, Curtis actually almost bought a deal from me. We managed to sell that deal. And
Which one?
do you remember that deal?
The one that we just called on?
My formula is simple. I'm at 2x of whatever, like if it's
Only 2x.
hold on.
You need to be on the Grant Cardone 10X,
I'm
bro.
about to start trolling Grant, and I know you watch Grant.
Hey.
And I know you do. You're about to get a
Grant
big
sells
troll.
10X, we sell 2X.
That's right. We're like a 5 delta. It's not great.
Okay.
But, it's better than
I don't really know what it is. So basically, I guess I'm at 20%. So if it's a $500,000 house, I want to be at 20% of that. If it's a $1 million house, I want to be at 20% of that. That's what I'm willing to do. Because the margins are so, like, my holding cost is so big. my margin for error is so small. I want to make sure my risk is rewarded.
Yeah.
So if it's $1 million property, so this girl Monica Hell just brought me a property.
I'm like, does that come with 40 units? I'm like, shit.
No, this is one piece of property.
Crazy number.
So I had a piece of property brought to
You
me
can come to our next
for like.
Yeah, shoot me a note. I'll go. All right.
Okay, our next.
Build like crazy.
I'm gonna tell you.
Gorgeous houses, but I'm like,
Dude, the party's
Whoa.
The party's
Hey, our next open house is being sponsored by Who Dat's Crawfish.
Oh, nice.
100 pounds of crawfish coming in
I'm spinning.
to do, but we're gonna do a home tour. You're gonna have to go through and get your card punched at each home, and then you get to come and you get 5 pounds of crawfish.
Man.
I mean, how cool is that?
Fun. We have a good time.
Be blast.
So all I need to do now is I think I'm going to get Jeff Emerson to come and be the DJ.
Yeah.
He DJ'd my last. Jeff Emerson.
this guy wrote some ones too.
Oh God, please.
Me, I got the headphones. Man, Jeff puts in that work, man.
Jeff, Emerson
He
bought the
did my
headphones.
Christmas party last year.
Okay.
Yeah, so he did pretty good.
Emerson did my open house for White Linen Night. 228 people show up. We sold the house the next day.
That's a good way to do it. I know you still focus on the higher end product, aren't you, Curtis? We haven't asked you what's your forte now.
Well, my forte is the same, except for my diversification is in. I'm just buying.
Okay.
So
Single family or duplex, multifamily, apartment.
Yes. But what I really want is all of that. I would buy an apartment. Brian's willing to lend me on anything, and then Vizio, a company that I interviewed at my. I'm serious with you guys. If you get like Carlos dropped a bunch of knowledge on here. Michael's got a bunch of information. All these guys, like I think the common theme is now is that everybody is to the point where it's like, oh, if I would have only held on to those properties.
Yeah. So this last 2 years, I've been buying properties. So I'm fortunate enough to have. I don't want to say like I'm good at wholesaling, so I'm able to cherry pick our deals, still delivering to our end investors a good investment. Yeah, a good product and a good investment. I don't try to make the numbers where, because you can sell the repairs, undersell the repairs, right? Like, oh, you only need 10,000, and then make the numbers work, inflate things, and then sell it. And it's so funny because I can get newbies and I can, get them pre-approved for hard money loans, and I can do all that stuff to get those deals sold for us, but it just doesn't work with my, I guess you could say, core values of like putting them in the wrong deals, right? So yeah, I think I could be a little bit more successful in putting those people in place to buy our especially now our tighter deals. They have money to put down and make the deal work, right? The investors got a loan 70%, right? Why you're coming to the table. You can come to the table.
It's almost a unicorn.
It's a unicorn deal, yeah. And we get them still to this day, right? Okay. And so now things have changed for me and my company. I'm able to take them down and do different things now with them. Either flip. I'm flipping a lot more houses now. I'm owner financing more houses. I'm keeping houses now. But that all has came through, I guess, like a period of time, right? Increasing your capital to be able to do this, right? So it's been a good, hard fought journey. I've bought deals with my own cash, and I'm here.
I want to talk about 70% deals for a moment. And here's why I want to talk about 70% deals. 70% deals are 70% is a funding formula, right? Like
correct. Yes.
Any of us can be zero. Oh, here we go. Any of us can be like zero out of pocket on a 70% deal. And when I see a real estate investor's like, I only buy deals that are 70%, and I would say, who the fuck do you think you are, where you can go in and do a deal with no money out of pocket? Like, I'm going to make you a millionaire. Let me get this straight. I'm going to build a team. I'm going to spend an ungodly amount of money on marketing. And then I'm going to make sure you're no money out of pocket because you're just that special. It drives me insane, and it always has. In fact, if you want 70% deals, why don't you build the company I used to have?
Right.
Correct.
Oh, it pisses me off to no end.
Yeah. That's,
What is your-
the advantage?
Okay.
Of where
What's your dollar per deal?
cost per acquisition? I mean, to the T, I don't have that with me, right?
What would you
but
believe-
I will
what-
say
around about?
around $6,000. Now let's say 5,000. I mean, crunching the numbers, actually coming back to it. I don't have that exact number, but I think it's around
Isn't that
6,000.
amazing? And people are like, oh, I can't do that deal because I can't put $6,000 out of my pocket on the deal. It's weird.
Yeah. Well,
Like I know.
$1 million a year marketing. That's really what I ran. That number's legit.
Yeah.
Everybody else is full of shit. That's a legit number.
Now there, yeah, correct. And then you get you compensate it, right? Some months where your cost per, let's say bandit signs, they don't cost you that much, or cold calling doesn't cost that much, and so every month is a little bit different. So your cost per lead per that month.
Okay, question for you. Where would you rather spend your? Let's say Rosie takes you for everything you got. Y'all get divorced. She's like, I want everything. You have to settle.
Why can't he have everything?
Yeah,
because
he's got
He's got a prenup in place.
no.
Okay, let's say you lose everything.
Okay.
You scrape $1,000. Start all over. What is your $1,000 play where you're like,
With
I
what?
got $1,000. I'm going to go back.
With
How would
what
you
I
make
know
it
now,
back?
right?
With what you know today, how would you go back
Oh,
and
man.
redo it? You don't have to answer quick. This is a
No. I mean, having the connections I have now,
it's right today. What would you do? You only have $1,000 left. Where would you deploy it?
and we're just talking about marketing here.
Yes.
Or are you talking about $1,000 to live? Because I've been there.
I
would use
how would
$1,000
you?
to
How
live.
would you?
So how much money I really have? Do I have like
scrape up-
nothing? I scraped up, but
You scraped up $1,000
put me in
to
a scenario.
restart your business.
Okay, $1,000. Okay.
Let's say your
I would-
living expenses are covered for the next month.
I think I will go ahead and JV with a couple other investors and probably buy their property, or I think I would JV. As far as marketing goes, I think I will. My work ethic is pretty good, so I think I would do some bandit science. A lot of cold calling. I'll do a lot of cold calling. And
Where would you focus the cold calling?
I would do for sale by owners, but there's other subscription bases. I will probably use a Walmart card to pay like $199. I don't know if they do that, right? First 30 days for free. I will come up with whatever means I can to
So
get
this
the
is the
to
they
deal.
only have $1,000 to start out.
I love fucking with Jason.
Jason.
He keeps commenting on Jason's own Facebook
Jason
post.
goes to the bathroom and he leaves his phone. Like, why would you leave your phone? I'm sorry.
Okay, Michael,
What's going on?
$1,000. You had to start over. Where would you go?
I really like to do a lot of owner finance, and so I'd line up 2-3 owner finance deals that I could get in the pipeline. Each of those land between a nickel to maybe 20 cents, but you can get a pretty consistent amount of 10K deals on owner finance, and I'd line up a few of those things that are just passive, where I just plant the seeds and they just kind of cash out on their own. Those kinds of deals take about an hour of my time, and then once I plant the seed, I'm out of it.
Well, all right, hold on. $10,000 an hour. Like seriously.
But not all those deals come to fruition.
Okay.
So it's a
it's
lot
not
of
really
wasted
an hour.
time.
Right,
It's a lot of
it's not
wasted
really
time.
an hour.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, how would I do it to be able to sustain myself? Right.
Oh, I got.
It's a numbers game. I got to plant 4 seeds. 2, 3 gonna die.
Right.
So I got to pay my bills the next month.
Right.
And so I'm planting my seeds, getting the bills paid the next month with a couple of deals. But honestly, from there, I'm really going to be locking up some wholesale deals to sell cash, or from the MLS. You got to partner up with somebody that's going to be flipping deals.
I think that's your easiest way in is MLS. Expired listings.
Not just expired listings, active listings. People that are actively.
I'm saying you can, like Carlos was talking about cold calling.
Yeah.
I'd be skip tracing everybody. I'd spend my $1,000 on skip tracing and using MLS as my quick lead just to get a couple of deals going.
Yeah.
Let me get something under contract.
Here's what I'll tell you.
Stop.
So you asked. There's 2 questions at play here, right?
Yeah.
What would you do?
What would you do?
$1,000, right.
Yeah.
So you do this, you do that, I do this, and then what would I recommend somebody else to do?
Ooh.
Like that's
Ooh.
2 different things.
I like that.
That is the skill
Background,
set. The skill
you
set.
guys all have different skill sets, right? So I'm plucking stuff off, and like I just pulled this duplex off of MLS for pennies on the dollar. It's ridiculous. And I said, you know what? I've not done an equity participation mortgage. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to send an email out. Who wants to do an equity participation mortgage? So I'm no money out of pocket. They're getting some debt plus some equity. And I'm making $900 a month on that one deal. And I have no money out of pocket. I mean, literally, here's this deal on MLS. Call a real estate agent. Hey, what are you going to take? They listed it at 108. We got it under contract at 65. It needs a $70,000 rehab. It's rated for $24.50 a month. Duplex, little mobile home. Probably going to get rid of the mobile home, build a duplex. So we'll have 2 duplexes, $3,600 a month. So it depends on what your skill set is. If you don't have a skill set in finance, I think owner finance and buying those, it's not easy, right? There's a whole lot.
You got to have a skill set in
You
finance.
have to have a very good skill set, right? And it's not a skill set necessarily to understand the deal. It's to explain the deal to somebody else who's taking it from our backgrounds. That's where it gets challenging, right? But is it possible to partner with people, pull stuff off MLS and say, you know this because you worked with a guy who bought like 100-something plus houses, all partnering, no money out of pocket, literally bought. Oh, he's here!
Oh, pinche mata. What's up?
I sent the text. I was hoping you'd come. Hey, surprise! You know what?
Georgie?
Is he still black too or no?
Yeah.
No.
He's not black.
He's never been blocked. He and I have been friends on Instagram for a long time. Girl, I haven't seen you in forever.
Oh, no, he deleted me.
We're talking about that on the podcast. Delete it here. Hey, give him the headphones. Give him the headphones. Here, put this off so we can hear you. So we can hear you. So we can hear what you're saying. Just hold that so we can hear what you're saying.
Lord Jesus be with us all right now.
I was hoping you'd come when I sent the message. I'm like, come on, Joe.
I was like,
I got to the bathroom.
They told me.
I have to go to the bathroom like 10 times a day. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Hey, we're back to Houston by 2, and I'm like,
So funny because
Hey, this is the longest podcast ever. So let's go back.
Oh, shut this.
Okay.
It's 2 hours and
he's
21
blocked
minutes.
me, and then I talked to him, he blocked me, so that's like, hey, let's talk.
2 hours and 21
And
minutes.
then we're right here, and now we're gonna be up here. We're right there sitting down, trying to talk our differences, and then now we're here on a podcast.
So what made it block? What made you guys block each other? Just because?
Just not knowing each other, right? And if you know how you text people,
Yeah.
and then not only that, he doesn't know how weird I am.
Great. I think this is perfect.
I he's admitting
we just had
to
that
it.
conversation the other day. Weren't we just having that conversation?
Whoa. Hold on. Kayla with New Western just has a question. If you have a property to sell, access to MLS, reverse searching in the area works wonders
Yes.
for finding buyers
Yes,
too.
just we do that ourselves too. So we have tight deals. We have properties that when we send out our huge email list, right? So I have 40, 50,000 on our email list. They're not really biting, right? So then We reverse it. We see who are the cash buyers that bought in that area, and then we just fucking cold call either realtors, and not only that, who are the registered owners of that property.
You want to know what's funny about?
I want to have what is a tight deal to you?
Hey,
Well,
why don't you
to be
slide down
honest,
a little bit so we can hear
well,
you.
you see, when I
Well, there we go. Now we can all
here's the deal when I say tight, right? Because I'm in the wholesaling side of it, right? So I think I need to back up and say that. Yeah.
If you were to do the deal, how much money do you need?
What do you mean? On buying the property?
Look at that.
Rental property, flip
I
property.
tilted it just a little
Flip
bit. Now
property.
we have all the
Okay,
lights.
so flip. When you
So
say tight deal, what are we at ARV wise on your?
Okay, so let's say it's worth 100.
That ain't flip property.
No, just 150. Whatever.
okay.
Just. So it's ARV 100. We contracted at. It needs no repairs. Just here and there. We contracted at 80. Gonna send it to our buy and hold for 87.5.
So why are you not buying those deals?
I like more equity in my deals. So
What is that? But what?
well, so in a perfect world, I will be all in, say 70% So if it's not 60% of all in, so that same deal with no repairs and everything, and I lock it up at 60,000, 60% of the 100,000, I'm buying it myself. If not,
So you're 80% deal, no repairs. Like you can walk into that deal.
correct. Well, keep in mind, to do the long term. Remember, I'm not buying it at 85%. Now, there's acquisition costs from my team, right? That I will have to pay for that, right? Correct. Exactly. Okay, so think about the numbers, the real numbers that you're really buying that property for. So 80,000. Let's say I bought 80,000, right? That's an $80,000 deal. It's not going to work for me because I have to pay the acquisition costs. Not only that, the marketing costs for that, and not only that, when I take it down, whether a private lender or so, there's some fees that, depending on what lender that month or the cash.
But if it were just you as an individual,
100%. Yeah, I will probably end up taking that deal. So.
That's why I sold it like crap.
Well, the beauty of it is that the cash flow of still being able to get the deal done still works out, right?
Maybe.
Correct. Volume wise, yeah, we try to our average wholesale fee that we shoot for is 15,000. Do we get them all the time? No.
So what do you think your average wholesale fee is? Well, this is a good conversation.
Yeah.
13.
13?
I mean, the exact number, I don't have that in front of me, so I can't really. But if we ran it, give or take
not
13.
going to take your projection numbers.
No.
We're just asking roundabouts.
Yeah, with this, I have not done. Back in the days when I had another team, I was doing a lot more deals, but 3,000 to 5,000. What do you call it? Assignment fees, 6,000 to 7,000. Hey, fuck it. Now, we're doing a little bit like medium size.
You really
volume.
can't do anything under 13 because your acquisition per deal is 6.
Think about that.
So if you do a deal at 6, you're just breaking even.
Think about
you're
that.
Just repaying.
Correct.
Now we're getting into the net discussion.
Exactly.
Which is where I was going with this one. So why wouldn't you do an 80% deal? Same reason I wouldn't do it 6 months ago. Because it's like, we don't make any money.
Correct.
Right.
Now,
but if you individually took it down, you're like,
hell yeah.
I got a private lender, we do this.
So there's a lot more, things in the back
You'll
end.
be where I'm at. Give it a couple more years.
What do you mean?
I think what you should be doing is focusing more on getting your long-term money.
Correct.
So that you can keep
it's not
most of your
his
deals.
problem is not long-term money. His challenges. Same one.
Yeah. So it could go back to what you were saying. You're like, I think if I would went back, I would have, partnered with a wholesaling company, right? That was good at what they were doing, right? So, you can do that. Well, here's my thing. I'm wholesaling. We're rehabbing, and I'm buying and holding and doing owner financing, right? 100% owner. I don't no partners in it, no partners of anything, right? So I think you have to be really crazy in the head, OCD, and being able to multitask. So that's a gift of me, right? Being able to do that. But is that sustainable? No, it's not. It's not sustainable.
Well, so here's the problem. If you were to look at, it's going to get very
it gets kind of
right. Because
so many.
If you were to run net profit per silo, owner finance, rental properties, wholesale flips, and then you would start to look at where are my costs at, and where's my cost of acquisition. One of the things you begin to realize is that there are some things that are more profitable than others, but are they more profitable because they support these other activities? And that's where things start getting really interesting. Because when you only have 24 hours a day, right? And when you compress all that stuff together, you begin to realize is that there's a financial cost and there's a temporal cost, there's a time-related cost. And in order to meet your goals, maybe you want to be, worth $1 billion. Shit, I don't know. If you want to be worth $1 billion, and most billionaires are in their 70s, that takes it. In that equation is very different. If you want to make a couple $100 million, it's a very different equation. So you've got to look at where do I want to go, and then how do all these different strategies fit into the current structure I built? Like I said, I don't know your team.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? But I have a pretty good idea because your cost of market is very similar to ours. And so you've got to really figure out where do I want to go. And then you have to look at your past performance. We talk about all those houses you had in the Heights. I'm willing to bet right now you bought 20 of those houses in the Heights. Your net worth probably more than what you got. And it's not to me a challenging question.
Right.
But to go back and sit down and look at your numbers tomorrow morning and go, damn, dude. Damn, I mean, because I was the same guy. I sat down and looked. I ran out of a freaking real estate event I was doing. If I just bought 25 of these a year, my net worth would literally be 5x what I've got. And that's what I realized. I'm like, I'm done. This is crazy.
Yeah. No, I get it. And
your tax treatment is twice as much as if you were.
So funny. I just got the letter now of being an S corp. So I it's so funny. I mean,
you've been an S corp.
No, I know. So it's been an issue. So now I just finally got that. A good accountant. Well, I still don't have the greatest accounting firm, right? So
You don't use Michael Black's?
You know what? I may reach out to him because my business is kind of it's complicated, especially with so many transactions on the going on, and then you get cost per goods, and all these properties cost per goods, and then what you really make, then you got the refinances. It just gets kind of like what the fuck.
And I can tell you, the IRS can't figure out if it's all in the same company. What's rental income, and what's flip, what's your dealer status, and what's that.
It's separate.
I had a great deal. I had a great deal actually that I potentially got under contract today. I want to say it was one of those smoking deals.
What's a smoking deal?
Well, it's one of those properties that's almost 300 square feet, and I could extract between 25, 30 grand on the upfront, but only rehab it for $5. So I'd be able to
what
make.
Does this extract upfront? What does that mean?
You bought it cheap.
You get a private lender that'll lend 70%, but I was able to get it below market, below an extra 20, extra 25 below market.
Now we're getting something. You never do that.
Well,
Never do that.
Well, this particular deal is like
Doesn't
I said.
matter if you get it for $1.
It's not smoking anymore.
Well,
wait, what are we doing?
It's not
It's called
smoking anymore.
equity stripping. You don't ever do
Well,
that.
well, it's all a matter of opinion. But here's the
No,
thing.
there's no opinion. It's math. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, your
Equity
property's
is
not gonna
your,
be worth
is your
anything.
protection. It's your blanket.
But I like to extract equity in the form of a loan, tax free, because loans aren't taxable.
I don't give a shit about taxes. What I care
I don't
about,
either.
I don't think we should.
Because you weren't there when the Magna Carta was signed.
Well, technically, you are liable for that at some point because your basis changes. So you're liable for it. So when you sell it, what's your basis in the property? So at some point, you will have to pay the fine.
basically,
Let me ask you
basically,
this.
I
So
like it.
why?
I like it because again, loans aren't taxable. You can
No,
extract
but
that
you have
money.
to sell it at some point.
Yeah, you can.
So you're gonna pay your tax there.
You can, but you can also eventually make it a homestead and sell it after owning it a year or two to be able to go ahead and make the gains tax free, right?
What do you
Now
think?
playing a
It's
game.
got to be 2 minimum.
2 years. No, you can own actually just for a year, but you can. It's going to max. It's going to the amount that you can. It's 2 years to recoup the $500,000 maximum capital gains.
2 of every 5.
But for 1 year, you can do half of that. It's prorated. So you can, having been a financial planner, I'm very heavy tax savvy on some of that. But the point is you can buy the property, extract the loan tax
I
free.
think it's only $250 now.
No, if you're married.
Married?
Married?
$500,000.
Yeah.
$250 if you're single.
So let me ask you that: is that a real business plan, or is that just like that's like a one-off?
You know, you got to do several of them. I mean, it's just one of the things you can do to be more tax efficient in what you're doing. It can't be every deal, obviously, because you can only do so many homesteads.
All right, so let's go back to the bigger issue. So, no, because I think that's what's really important. It's like, so I got a private lender, and the private lender will say, I'll do everything 70%, and you're all in at 55. Why the hell would I ever borrow?
Yeah, I used to do the same thing, and I stopped doing it. I don't want to pay the interest on the money. Why am I going to pay interest on money I'm going to get later without having to pay interest on it? I just because before it was like, okay, I'm broke, I need money. Let me pull out $15,000 sign fee up front.
Oh, so you're cash advancing. Is what
and
you're
then
doing.
do the rehab.
Oh, like my payday loans when I was broke. Oh, okay.
Your payday loan at 14%.
They're cheaper, right? It's called equity stripping. That's the sexy real estate term. You're stripping it. So,
Chris, where are you going?
I'm going to go in.
I gotta get more beer.
I'll give you the multifamily side. So
We got
Brass wagon.
another 4 hours here on the podcast.
I think it's brash.
You staying for the long haul, Amy? We're going until midnight.
Okay, I'm in.
You guys ready for midnight? Going all night long.
So here's the problem with equity stripping. I see it in commercial real estate more than I see in single family. Well, they will go in and say, well, I'm the lead investor, I'm the principal investor, I'm the guy that's controlling the deal, right? And I found the deal. Although it was on LoopNet or it was on CoStar, but I found the deal because I'm really good at finding the deal. And then I'm going to strip off 1.5% of the purchase price into my pocket because I'm so great at finding this deal. And then I'm going to have a management fee on top of that, 3% of AUM, right? So assets under management, the property's worth $10 million. I get another, 3% or whatever the net asset value is, and then I'm going to get another whatever it's 0.5%, 1/4% of collected rents. So like they're stripping all this equity off the top, and they're like, "I'm killing it, bro. I'm a real estate apartment guru." But their investors are getting fleeced, and they're lucky if they make 5%.
Well, I'm talking about a deal where you just keep for yourself.
It's a
much
same
different
shit.
scenario.
It's the same thing. Because at the end of the day, it's like your tax treatment. You're paying a 40% tax treatment on that. Well, I'm going to pay myself this assignment fee of $15,000. You're really only keeping about 75%. And then I'm going to do this because I'm managing construction. And then I'm going to do this. And like, if you put the entire math together, you're totally screwing yourself.
Oh, yeah.
It's like just leave the money in the deal. Just trust it. Just leave it all in the deal. And if you hold on that deal for a year or two, it works out so much better. Now, if you've got a really just big, sick deal, so I can tell you, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not telling you anything like I would tell myself 6 years ago. Like, we'll do this at a Roth. Like, there were so many houses we made $100K plus on. It's like, we didn't really need the money. Let's just do this in the Roth, or in this Roth, or in this Roth, and just put that $100,000 right in there. And the tax treatment is abusive.
Yeah.
There's so many.
You got the solo Roth has always been my favorite instrument.
Well, solo K works great as long as you don't have any employees, right? And then when you start bringing on staff, it's a problem. So you start growing.
Well, you separate them.
It does
separate them.
Well, so here's the problem. Well, so here I'm not a CPA. Here's the problem. If at one point the IRS comes back and says, well, you're a real estate investor and a flipper, and then you've got all these other little investment companies and flipping companies. Like we could literally say like all of your employees in this one silo is supporting all this stuff.
Right.
Now, if you are partnering with people in a limited joint venture opportunity, I think that might be different. I would highly recommend talking to Joe Watson or John Heyer, and then establishing what that is. This is kind of like higher level stuff, right? But to simply say, oh, well, all my employees are over here, and this company makes $10 a year, but then I'm making millions over here that's in my IRA. It's like, the IRS they're not stupid, right? They're like, oh, I see what you're doing. Now, if you're let's say you run an education company here, and a real estate investment company over here, and the employees are here, because the problem with a lot of these solos is you have to offer the same plan to all those employees. Now, if you were a cruel bastard and didn't pay them enough to where they couldn't participate in that plan, that's one thing. So there's multiple ways to cut this thing up. Just be like super, super careful. Because all that stuff the penalties are incredible. Great, thank you.
Here you go, lovers.
Oh, yeah, let's get some good stuff in here.
All right, here we go.
I'm an idiot.
Kayla said,
I'm a fucking retard.
Is it realistic to set your goals only at 70% deals? Is it still considerable?
Aren't you glad you came and hanging out with us, Amy?
Absolutely.
Amy's the
What's
shit.
the cutoff for a true investor? And I will tell you, Kayla, I just paid 85% for a deal because it cash flows like a freaking beast. So for me, I really don't.
I'm drinking slow.
Dave Jones, 70% only.
She's been putting all my cups down there.
1, 2, 3.
You know, here's my threshold. If I perceive more than $5,000 out of pocket, it's not for me.
Really? So if you were in a deal that made you $1 million a year, you wouldn't be $5,000 out of pocket?
You know, that's a different percent. That's a different deal.
Okay, so you tell me what number? Because that's
5,000 is my wiggle room or fudge room to make an accident.
So if you were $5,000 out of pocket for a deal that made you $5,000, that's a no-go.
Again, you know, you said $5,000. I definitely no go on that. I'm talking about trying to come out of pocket $5,000 to make deals that make 50. If I'm coming out of more than $5,000 to make 50 or 40, maybe 30, that's my wiggle room.
Great, send all those to me. I'll take care.
What do you use to
I will. I will. I have a ton of them available all the time.
All those deals.
Okay, someone asked, what do we use to skip trace?
I think all that stuff is really
Who asked that? Let's just
Anthony Morales.
delete Anthony Morales.
I honestly think, like, I saw this 18 months ago.
Brian's drunk,
I'm
everybody.
sorry, Anthony. Sorry, Anthony.
So, no, I'm just kidding. I think the whole, like, skip tracing, build the call center, it started about 18 months ago. It's probably got about another 18 months of legs before the state AGs get involved, and that whole thing is going to be over.
What I want to know is, how are you going to talk all about all this real estate and then be able to go and give new information tomorrow?
I'm not confident in your information.
You just used words that I don't even know.
Tomorrow will be just fine, trust me. This is what I do all day, man.
You tell the podcast viewers that we're running this till tomorrow. We're going all night long.
We have to cut this off because I'm going to be in the studio at 6:30 a.m.
That's great because it closes at 2. We're in good hands here.
All right, we got to get George on deck when he gets back.
George, where are you?
Okay, so right now we've got a runner on first. Actually, we got a runner on third.
So I kid you not, the Twitter accounts, like I'll go on to Twitter for Astros and they're like, oh my God, they're 1-3, it's over. And I'm like, y'all need to chill out. Just everybody just chill out.
We're 5 or 6 games into the season. It's 162.
Yeah, we're gonna be fine.
It's gonna be fine.
It's a 162 game season.
So I will tell you when.
I mean, Springer leads off with a trip.
Hey George, you can
George,
sit
Georgie,
right here.
come here. We're gonna hit you with the tough questions.
I hope not. I'm drinking.
Like political.
How many
Oh,
beers?
shit.
How many beers would you say you've drank today? And what's your cost per acquisition of the beer?
Oh my god!
Where do you get your leads for beer?
Did I ever tell you a story about my bar tab at the Redneck Country Club?
No.
Eddie didn't pay for it? No, Eddie will, I mean, Bud Lights, Miller Lights, all that stuff. So I'd give him my credit card. So I'm a member there. So I give him my credit card. Like,
Watch out, everyone. He's a member.
I'm a member. Oh, not only that,
Last name,
I'm a founding member there. So I hand him my credit card. I'm like, hey, I want to take care of
Room 342. Bible.
So I'd say, hey, look, it's for my staff. Like, and we usually had, half dozen folks there. So at the end of the night, the bar tab was like $1,500 to $2,000, and I'm like, holy shit.
You can't whisper. You got to be louder.
Oh, no, I can totally do it.
Okay. All right.
So it's like $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, and I'd sign it. I'm like, okay. And then it took me about 3 or 4 times before I figured out where everybody was in the bar. Oh yeah, I know that guy. I know the guy right there. So I'm telling Eddie this story. And I'm like, dude, I'm there, and he goes, oh no. Same thing happens to us. Where it was like, I'm his best customer, and they're ordering shots on. So then he's like, it's Miller Lite, Bud Lights, or people who have the wristbands or whatever.
Yeah.
So
fortunately, I have wristbands now because I'm doing the podcast.
There you go. So whenever I was doing the Right Path stuff, I'd open up a tab in one of the other guys' names because nobody would know. Nobody knows Andy, right? So it's like, hey, my tab's under Andy. And then the tab at the end of the night's like $150, $200. I'm like, now.
10 times the amount.
I've been saying Mr. Real Estate.
You're like, Jason, I'll buy a pickle shot. I'm like, this is great. Wait a second. 25 pickle shots.
Why do you think Brian always comes up to you and goes, Jay, what do you want?
What do you want?
Jason, what do you want?
Yeah, I'll take this again.
It's the guy waving his hand.
Yeah.
So many deals
Like an idiot.
Yo, Dumb and Dumber, like, hey, Seabass.
All right, what's your question? This is good. This is a good interlude now that everyone's back. Literally, this is exactly what Jason and I thought about whenever we were talking about doing this. It's like, how do you do podcasts a little bit different? More like Joe Rogan style, where you're sitting there like bantering back and forth, talking like you're at a bar, which we are. We're drinking.
Yep.
And if we were just together, like, what would we be discussing? Like, what are the behind the scenes locker room discussions about real estate?
Yeah.
I'm glad you added about real estate.
About real estate.
I'm going to be your microphone guy.
Locker room talk.
Whenever you talk.
Let's start a bar fight.
Let's just locker room.
It's just locker room talk.
George,
Okay. There's 2 of us voting for Trump at least. I would bet 3.
2020?
Someone is asking how many people would vote for Trump 2020.
100% 2020.
I am all for a Biden veto 2020.
Biden's going to jail for sipping. Biden's going to jail like Juicy.
I think they're cellmates. Hashtag cellmates. All right, Georgie, where are you at?
Where am I with what? What do I got?
Where are you at today in real estate?
Man, so I've got a staff. I have the same, almost similar setup to Carlos. I have acquisition team, sales manager.
Okay, so how many people are on the acquisition side?
So I've got 4 on the acquisition side, 1 sales. I had a call center, but I broke that down. Kind of went back to the old model of just direct mail, answer calls, go on leads, go on appointments. Yeah, no, honestly, it doesn't.
Who was the call center? Everyone, Pat Live or something like that?
No, I had an actual call center with staff, like all calling outbound. Yeah, cold call. The cost per lead got a little bit too high. I didn't like the returns. I didn't like what we were doing, so I just kind of went back to that model. But so I buy, fix, sell. Primarily, most of my rehabs are Fifth Ward and Denver Harbor.
How much percentage-wise, ground up? Because I know you're doing some new construction, raise it,
Yeah.
What percentage of your portfolio?
I like those kind of
Majority of new construction is like really small. Like maybe 1 out of every 5 will be a new build. Yeah.
20%?
Yeah. The rest are usually rehabs. I try to rehab. I try to save them if I can. But if I have to, I'll tear down. Some areas like Fifth Ward will call for more of a tear down just because the new builds are going to sell for more. Denver Harbor, I can get almost the same for either one.
What are you paying for Denver Harbor?
So I'll pay like $9 a foot for a lot. And
no matter the condition of the house.
Yeah, no matter I'll try to if the house is a complete shithole, I'll try to stay somewhere around 50 grand. So if I can stay somewhere around 50 grand, 5,000 square foot lot. If I have to knock it down, I have to. I can build a new one.
So it's 5,000, 50 grand.
Yeah.
What are you allowed to resell it at?
So my highest comp, which is the highest comp now, is 215.5 in the neighborhood. I set the highest comp 1,500 square foot. 1,556 was the square footage on a 5,000 square foot lot.
We drove his portfolio a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
So I've been following that footprint and just kind of replicating it throughout the neighborhood. And we're getting almost the same. We're getting a little bit more in Fifth Ward. The new builds are going in the 280s, close to 300K now. They're creeping up there. So, yeah.
Well, what happens is HEB comes in and says, "Hey, I'm going to build
I haven't really messed with it. It's
on your
pricey.
side."
It's gotten too pricey.
That helps. I mean, look, what was the one place?
So let's talk about big companies. HEB is a great example.
Yeah.
They have demographics and economic models.
It's not even funny.
They pay so much for that.
Yeah.
But
they ace every single one. Every single one is perfect.
What's crazy is it's like, and I would love to know which markets HEB doesn't go into, because even those are like 95% markets, right? I mean, you could go into those markets and still crush it. But the ones they go, we're going into, it's like fire.
Yeah, and not just that, but they have different levels of ones that they go in, right? So they have like a really small HEB, which is just like a lower end one. Then they have the middle grade one, and then they have the full blown, like almost like a central. Well, they have Central Market, and then they have like the just really high end HEBs, which are like Bunker Hill and the one in the Heights, and they're not Central Markets, but they're really, really nice.
Okay, so you just hit on what I was getting ready to talk about, which is there was an area of the Heights no one wanted to invest in. That little pocket, that little bitty sliver, one block, which was in between Durham and Shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
No one wanted to invest there. All of a sudden, especially close to 610, no one wanted to invest there. All of a sudden, HEB comes in.
Oh, and
everybody's like, oh, this little bitty strip of land. Oh, Burr and I were looking at this little bitty property, and we were like, how can we do this? It was like a 3,000 square foot lot, one house, like maybe 18, 20 feet wide, and a little bit garage apartment that's been converted. And I was like, we can make this into 2 Airbnbs. Right next to it is a full court basketball court and a tennis facility.
Gorgeous, though. Real nice, well maintained.
Yeah. And then right next to that is a brand new, townhouse community. But everybody wants to sell that lot to me for like $230, $250. It's too much. You can't. Can't make the market work.
So here's the question: is it too much in
It's now.
That's like the equation I keep running.
Okay, it's too much in today's dollars with 10% interest.
That have multiple properties. You got to change that. That have 3, 4, 5, I bought 4 duplexes, and then they start on the same street. And a couple of people are like, they might be good deals, and might be not. 15K deals. Lease rates have risen 27% in less than 6 months. Because I looked at, there's these duplexes, all these single-family houses. It's like they're way, way under rent. Now, I don't recommend everyone doing it. Like, it's so, what you do, I mean, it's just so, for a lot of people, it's like, you can't shoot that gap.
Well, I think what you do is all turning into what we do, which is, the only thing different is like, he's building new construction and monetizing that in Denver Harbor or in Fifth Ward. I'm doing it in Brooksmith. This is where I feel comfortable. I would just say, if I was to tell him, hey, look, come over. What we learned in this latest house that I bought, which is in like very like way before. It's way lower.
About that area,
Metal Lee.
That's the name of the subdivision.
Metal Lee.
But you know the problem is when you get in these urban areas, it's like it's a subdivision, it's 6 houses. You go across the street, it's all screwed up, right?
So basically, the deal is like I'm not taking my guys that have been working with me in Brooksmith over to Meadow Lee. I hired a whole brand new crew to start day one over there. You know this.
Yeah.
You can't retrain your guys because they know what it's like to do the sanding of the MDF, the prime, the prep, the paint, the prime, the prep, the sand,
Yeah.
It's all that. Like we have a 3-step process when we're painting, trim, cabinets, doors. And like today, we're walking by and we started taking pictures. And I was asking Burris, I was like, did you see how much time I was spending telling the guys, like, this looks amazing. This looks so good. You should see their body language. They're like, they're like so proud of their work, right? But it's like, it's different. When I walk into my little rental shack that I'm doing, like 840 square feet, I'm like, guys, this looks great. Keep up the work. What the fuck is going on with this vinyl siding here? Like, y'all are trying to imagine.
Termite and high moisture haven.
They're excited about it though. The guys are out there.
Let's just take it.
Okay, boss. Okay, boss.
One color. Okay, no problem.
It says if this, great.
Yeah, he saw me go off on like the vinyl siding doesn't match here. It's supposed to look like T106.
Oh no, you actually put
T105.
vinyl siding on.
No.
It was already there.
Whoa, time out.
This would be great.
Time
Vinyl
out.
siding.
The best thing about this house
He's gonna wet the bed tonight for life.
The best thing about that house is we have a crazy neighbor who always comes over around the gate to the project, and he's the guy that built the house originally. So he comes over, he's smoking a cigarette, and he's like overweight, whatever, and he goes, and then I go, Curtis, this house is gonna be gorgeous, and he goes, yeah, he goes, this house was a piece of shit.
The guy's standing right next to us.
He goes, until I took it over. And the guy, you can see the guy is like,
What about when his wife came over? So we decided that what we were gonna do is we were gonna start. Their fence is completely rusted. The fence is rusting, and it's like it took like 3 years of deferred maintenance. And so we get spray cans, and we're gonna start spray painting. His wife, who just sold us the house, comes up. No. She's Asian. No. You can do. I go. I flipped 500 houses. Watch me do this. I go.
because the guy would, honest to God, every fucking day he'd come around and like he'd just hang out and like the guys were trying to work, put up shit, you know.
I just want to be in here. I just want to watch.
The guys locked him out of the gate, his own house. He's like, well, whatever. He sold it. So he'd come in there and try to like. He couldn't get in the fucking gate.
So then he tells us, he goes, you can't use my electricity anymore.
So even though it's licensed,
So my guys are like,
what?
Does that happen in Brooksmith?
Exactly.
And it goes to the use everybody.
in Brooksmith, we had.
You go 2 streets over.
Okay,
Electricity.
this is no lie. My house on Archer, the guy across the street from me is doing my shower glass doors on all my houses here. So I've been stripping and using his electricity for like a month, right? But I'm paying him money, right? So now we finally finalized
like
out.
an extension cord?
Oh, it's like 6 extension
People
cords.
drive over it.
What is Centerport doing in the middle of the freaking road? Like, if they had tied this master's house in yet, oh, that's
Oh shit!
Man, have you guys ever had the hose from the neighbor, like stealing water? Go to the house?
We did this today on the house where the guy is smoking cigarettes. So I walked over and I go, "Hey, I just want to let you know, thank you so much for letting us use your water." Because like we're mixing mud and stuff. They're like doing the sheetrock and stuff. And I'm like, "Hey, is it okay for me to go ahead and call?" You're like, "Wait 1 minute."
Electric, gas, or water.
I don't want to turn on.
Trying to save $100 a month.
I don't want to turn on the electric, gas, or water just yet. I just want to wait
That's
as long as I can.
As long as we can let him come in and just hang out, then he'll let us.
Yeah, he's like,
let him come in and bitch.
He's like, no worries about it. No worries.
I don't like this. I don't like this pattern.
He does. He actually sits there and like critiques the shit.
And so is it good critique?
No. So the shower head comes up to about right here on my mouth, right? So I'm grabbing the shower head and I'm doing like a American Idol rendition. I'm going, who the fuck put the shower head at the 5.5 foot mark? And he's like, I did.
He'll come in and be like, hey, Curtis, you don't mind if I keep that? And Curtis is like, I actually like. Curtis has no intention of keeping that shit. He goes, I actually really like that. I may keep that. Curtis, just give the goddamn faucet.
So he asked Brian, he goes, what color are you guys thinking about painting this house? And he's like, white. And then he goes, I have like 20 people a week that stop me to ask me what color I painted my house. I go,
I'm sure
that house is fucking ugly.
Curtis has no problem pissing somebody off on day one. And I'm trying to like keep a happy neighbor. I'm like, your house is really nice. Your house is really big, green,
oh.
nice.
Yeah, it's nice slowing down. It's great. Yeah,
it's coming up.
Brian.
Great greens for genius.
Brian.
When the roof line does this, you're just trying to the next rain. You're collecting.
I get that. I get that. You just like that U shape in your roof. I heard that was very like energy efficient.
I think it's like a Mary Poppins thing, man. Like old British.
I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Why are you constantly encouraging these people? I'm like, why don't you tell them that shit looks ugly? He's like, look, they spend a lot of time on that. I just don't want to hurt their feelings. I go, so we had this conversation, right? Because this one girl on Facebook who met me, she's like, I'm just going to tell you right now, everyone on Facebook is like, have you met Curtis? And I'm like, no, I hadn't met him yet. They're like, you're an asshole. And I go, really? She goes, yeah, everyone's like, he does good work, but he thinks he's the only one that does good work. I'm like, all right, thank you. She's now listing
That's
this.
how we make you feel good.
So I'm like, look, I introduced myself as Curtis. I'm the guy on Facebook. I'm an asshole. Like, I own it. I already got it. The sphincter. But I mean, fortunately for me, I think this goes back to I've known you for how long? 5 years?
6 years?
6 years. We've known each other 6 years. We've gone and done personal stuff together. We played basketball together. We played tennis. We've worked out. We've gone through multiple friends. We hadn't. We've scissored. I mean, it's been amazing. I'm kidding. She finally finds what? We scissored.
Podcast needs to be shut down, dude. Before we get shut
It's
down.
gonna get worse as we keep drinking. But that might be the best part.
This is the real talk.
So
I've got no one to answer to at this point. So,
Jeff Gill has been on the podcast almost the whole time. He said extension cords. Jeff, please spend time with your family.
If you can't see the number, we have 900 viewers right now.
Holy cow!
900.
We're all viral.
900 viewers.
no, I will tell you, we'll have about 2,000 by tomorrow. Shit you not.
It's a good thing I showed up when I did.
You're driving the traffic.
I've shared this video 4 times. In fact, I'm going to share it again.
I thought you were liking it up.
I did. I liked it like a million times.
How are your comments coming along, Jason?
My what?
Your comments, how they coming
I
along?
think they're the same as Curtis's. So
I don't even.
what's up, George?
What's up, man? How are
I'm
you?
trying to.
You doing the flips, Nettles, a little bit of both?
More flips right now.
So is the truth?
I'm trying to grab some Nettles. So
That's it. I'll open this up and we'll see what happens. You have a card? 4 or 5 flips and 1 ring.
Where do you want?
I'm just trying to finish up.
All right, ready?
I can pitch out.
I don't even know where I go. Settings, settings and privacy.
Yeah, it gets tough.
There it is. Okay, I got it. My list of blocks is pretty prestigious. It starts with. The first person blocked on my list is Blake Garbo.
Those are all the different channels I'm running to now. Right now I'm just
Let's see here.
so we've got an out.
Carlos,
I'm back on, brother.
unblocked.
Yes.
We know what the content is. We'll take it and put it on one podcast.
Appreciate it, brother. It's been
Yes.
about 2-3 years.
YouTube.
There you go.
All right, we're back in it. Hey, feel free. If I fuck up, do it again.
That's restream.
All right, Carlos.
Friend request. I'm gonna like screenshot it, keep it, put it.
It doesn't show you.
100 messages on Facebook and email. It's crazy. That's what you know what it is. It's like you build this net, and then it's like you end up working with 2 or 3 people.
Right.
It's not. People think like, oh, they're like this masses are just gonna show up. It's like you don't want the masses to show up.
All right, there you go, bro.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
This is great. This is a nice, like, simple setup. I was thinking we were buying cranes and shit to hold the mic beams and like.
Oh, that's what you do for like the radio.
Look at that. That's everything.
Oh yeah.
Dude, we were in Radio City or what? Guitar
Guitar Center.
Guitar Center.
We were in Guitar Center trying to put this
We were there
podcast
trying to,
together.
like, hook up like chords and. Like,
Oh no!
oh my god! It's terrible.
For something like this is fine. And then if you guys came into our studio, I mean, you can see. I mean, it's a ton of crap going on in the background. But for this stuff, I mean, this is. Let me put it this way: for 2019, this is fine. The next 5 years, you'll have to full production. There will not in 5 years. There won't be this.
Yeah.
There will be this and 3 camera guys and lighting and all that. I mean, that's where it's all going to head. We can get away with
the podcast.
Yeah, we can get away with this kind of stuff. Well, I got a guy now that follows me around with a camera, so it's like you can get away with this for now. But 5 years from now, I mean, that's
We got a few of those called the paparazzi.
that's why I got the sunglasses on. You put them on and walk out. But it's so silly because it's like we just buy houses. And we do a couple of videos, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" You're like, it's not a big deal, dude.
I was that guy 2.5 years ago. I was the guy that was on there,
And you're watching, right?
and then I get the lotion. I'm joking. Nobody saw that.
Yeah, nobody. But I mean, to your point, that's a good point. You're like, you're the guy, and you watch, you're like, who are the people who are really doing this?
I just wanted to
right?
learn. Yeah.
You're like, shit, you start following these guys, it's great. And so,
Yeah, that's kind of a big thing that I try to tell people is like, there's a lot of people that say they do the business. And Houston is a humongous city, so there's a lot of those people. And then there's like a very small group of people that actually do the business. And then there's a smaller group of people who are actually successful in doing the business.
You're absolutely right.
Dude, that's pretty much what it is.
George, I think it's a great point because it's like, there are all these guys who are like, oh, we're crushing it. It's like 20 or 30 people. It's not that big. It's so small, even in a market this big. And it's what's so fascinating is what I think is very different than our market versus a lot of other markets. They can a new investor can very quickly run the traps to get to the guys that are really doing this. I don't think you can do that in Phoenix. I know you can't do it in LA because I've been to LA and literally there's this short gap in Houston where you can get into. You go to a jet lending event, and you can grab Eddie and go, who are the guys that are doing it? And Eddie comes off stage, You probably been there long enough to see this. And Eddie grabs me and you half a dozen other guys, and we're holding court.
Right.
You know, on those.
And then everybody else is standing behind us.
Yeah, or they've already gone home, and there's literally a dozen people that do 100 houses, you know, a quarter at least. It's amazing to watch. So then you start to wonder, like, do people really want to be in real estate? They want to be sold a dream.
Okay. Let me tell y'all that
I'm good. I have to be.
we're 2-0 right now.
What?
Astros. Verlander's pitching. Good job, boys.
Good job, guys. We did a good job. We got 1,000 followers. We got 800 hearts. That means they love it.
Kayla is a
hearts.
troll.
You don't have the hearts.
You're a little troll.
No, I don't like troll. I mean, Kayla's really cool.
Sit down and backstory for every person on Curtis's block list.
We got a few.
I don't want to go through all the sordid late night hookups and ex-girlfriends Curtis is on the block list with.
We got a few comments here on the podcast that says, "Please end longest podcast ever."
It's 3 hours in.
Oh, here's another one. It says, "Did I die? This seems like it's fucking endless."
Are the guys at my house playing FIFA? That's all I want to know.
You're probably in your bedroom right now on your bed.
My bed does not have the Xbox.
Hey,
My living room has the Xbox.
We're not talking about Xbox.
Curtis runs a whole new level of business. He keeps his workers.
All right, guys. I would be back, but I'll have to delete that. Conjured a whole level of.
This is going south.
This is going so quick. Final thoughts, kids?
Hey.
Thoughts?
Hey, I'm deleting everybody.
I'm deleting all you
everybody. It's going off.
Mike, final thoughts for tonight.
Thanks for inviting me out, guys.
Okay, good job.
Just showed up over here.
You showed up.
I figured it was all coordinated somehow.
The universe has powers.
It does.
The flat earth has powers. Mike, Mike.
First podcast for me, so yeah.
This is your first podcast?
Yeah, I'm into it. I don't like
You did great. You did good.
You did really good. I should be fine. I think this will hopefully help me later down the
Doing
line.
what?
Just be more
Like get out of your shell?
Yeah, get out of myself and just be like, you know.
I'll put you on the radio show.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I like to say, screw the tax man.
Screw the tax man, IRS.
That's Michael Alexander at MikeAlexander.com.
Capitalize the M, lowercase ICHAL.
Tax ID number 476.
TXDL hashtag.
Would you like to say any final words?
Man, I don't have much. I didn't say much.
Thank you.
What would you like to?
I do think it's a great idea though. This
do what?
kind of layout.
I do too.
It's not so boring. It's really entertaining. Because the more you drink,
We had fun.
the more entertaining it is.
This is fun.
Well, you showed up a little bit later. If you were here early, we went around the table, and I mean, I think there's a whole lot of good content.
I kid you not. We do this a couple more times. 2,000 to 3,000 views just on Facebook. Like it'll start taking off.
You know, it's crazy because when you go to when I was telling Jason this earlier today. At the super investor meeting, when I'm doing the podcast for that meeting, I'm just the interviewer. I'm just asking questions. This one's kind of like, hey, let's just sit down and kind of like chum it up and brain bash each other about what we're doing and try to figure out what are the holes in my game. Where are you at? Where am I at? How can I level up? How are you going to level up? And that's what I think is really cool.
It's the industry insight. It's like guys are doing this like every day, right? I mean,
It's like debriefing about it. You know, he started the brand new radio show. We debrief the radio show. I'm like, do you feel like that's going good? Yeah, you know, I like this part. This part I feel like could be better. I think if you this is what I would like to end the podcast with. Brene Brown wrote a great book about daring greatly. That was her book that she wrote, right? Have you watched that TED Talk? Okay. Brene Brown, Brene Brown. She's from the University of Houston. And her whole book is around the premise of Ted Roosevelt's quote, which is it's not the critic who counts, it's the person in the arena.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. It's the one that's taking
the guy dodging the arrows, the guy that's in the middle. So many people in our industry are telling us, oh, I wouldn't do that, or I would choose this, or I would do that. The reason why you hate my advice is because I'm in the middle doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm selling the houses.
When I get really snarky, I'm like, so how much of your net worth is wrapped up in your advice?
Yeah.
Oh, about zero.
Right.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's really easy to stand out there and have your opinion and talk crap. And, I mean, dude, when I started buying in that area, people thought I was fucking crazy. Pardon my language, but they thought I was crazy. It was a war zone, just about, right? And I said, well,
when me, you, and Rudy went out, Rudy's like, I'm buying here, and you said, I'm buying here. I'm like, this is fucking gold.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I told Rudy about Ryan and Hardy Yards, this was like 2013. Yeah.
That was okay, so George and I.
This really pissed me off. Like I went back to my office and threw shit because my acquisition guy was late and I missed the deal and Curtis was there. So I was pissed.
Okay, so here's what I think most people miss out. Brian can tell you, I'm in the middle of a deal. The people are $50,000 more than what I'm wanting to buy it for. I'm like, Brian, you're going to be my personal investor. This guy is like $450, and Alberto Alaniz has a property. He's trying to sell it to me for $425. The guy comes at me and he's like, Gloria Gutierrez had it under contract for $400. Alberto comes to me, he's like $450. Guess where he tells me it? Redneck Country Club. I'm like, Beto, I'll try to put it together. I don't know if I can. So I'm like, he's like, man, I need to close it. I need to close it quick. So he had it under contract. He was trying to double wrap it, right, to me. He had it under contract for like $415, trying to get 10 grand off of me. I'm like, I can't do that. So I'm like, I go back to Gloria. I'm like, Gloria, if you want to sell this deal, I'll sell for $400. I'm going to pay you a commission.
That works.
Paid her a commission on it. So I turn around and say, get my meeting set up with these sellers. They get the meeting set up with the sellers. Before that, I think there's a lot of people like George, you know. They only see me being able to flip property. George shows up at this individual property that we were talking about. I'm wanting to buy the property for $80. The lady goes, if you'll give me $82.5, I'll sign with you. She's like, she has a cast on or something like that. It's weird. I was like, okay, that's fine. But the only way I'm going to do this deal is if you'll shake my hand and you'll give me your word. She says, yes. Gives me her word. We're outside talking. And I said, when I'm done with this property, I want you to come back and look at your house.
I love that. Yes.
I want you to see what I'm going to do with the property.
We've done that.
George shows up. George is showing up.
That's what you say. I don't know if I trust this guy.
So George pulls out. I don't know if y'all can see this. Y'all may not be able to see this right now, but George is Hispanic. George shows up with the race card. No. George pulls out the race card. He's talking Spanish to her.
Oh, nice.
She tells him.
This gringo here.
So he's telling her all this stuff in Spanish. I don't even know what the fuck he's saying. So I'm just looking at her like this. We shook hands. She's like, I gave him my word.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But honestly, it was my fault, but it wasn't my fault. My acquisition guy was late. I was waiting. So I had an appointment before he got there. But, I mean, that's how it goes. You know what I mean?
it's almost who's first.
At that point, it's who's first.
So
Yeah, I mean,
fascinating. There's this metric out there that
So I may change my mind.
on FISBOs, the agent that's there first, that if that owner decides to list, it's like 70 to 80% chance they will list with that first agent. So one of the things I've said to my seminar is like, so what percentage does that correlate to for real estate investors? We don't know because we don't have the data. But even if we have, it's like 40%.
still pretty good.
It's like, get there first. Right? I want to be first. I want to be last. I don't want to be that guy in the middle, right? Because you're the guy that's in the middle. It's like, look, man, I shouldn't answer that guy. He seems like a pretty good dude, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're dealing with guys literally at this table, right? I mean, we're going to close.
Yeah. That's the thing that I press when I train my guys. Is like you go now, you lock it now, you close now.
Yes.
Because there's another guy like me on the other end that's going to show up, and he's going to do it now.
Or if there's 10 guys, there will be a guy like you.
Yeah.
There will be a Houston House Buyers. There will be a Senna. There will be a whatever.
Right.
Big state. There will be somebody that actually closes, right? And so it's like that's. But I think that's good, right? Because
What I didn't like though when the year was up.
roots out all the other guys who are like, well, I've got these partners and they can come in.
Yeah. That rules out the New Westerns and the Net Worths and all those guys that want to shop it. And it's like, look, I really want to buy the property. I've gotten people with, look, I'm the real buyer. I'll take you to my houses. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. Yeah.
I buy in the neighborhood.
Yeah. No, and I've gotten deals like that where the seller was like, oh, yeah, no, I looked you up and I saw the properties you own. And out of the 5 people that call me, you're the only one that owns any houses.
Well, you know what? Owns houses or the one that's called me.
Yeah, or answer the phone, period.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This whole like going straight to voicemail thing has become the biggest fad, and it's like, dude, that is ridiculous.
I will tell you that at that property that we went to, the best part of that, I would say, what's really cool about this industry is George knew I was going to close it, right?
Yeah.
George left. He gave her his pitch. He left within, I would say, 5 to 7 minutes after being there. Real quick, in and out.
So here's the real interesting conversation. So let's say you didn't close on it. Who's your first phone call?
Yeah.
To this guy to go, all right, so what the hell's really going on here? I've had that conversation with a couple other guys where here's our offer, here's somebody else's offer, and they didn't close. And my first conversation is, why didn't you close that deal? Oh, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well, we'll see what happens.
I mean, I just closed one last week, and I think like 6 or 7 different wholesalers had under contract. It was a home run. It was like a $25,000 assignment fee.
Wow.
No one could do the title work. No one could track the people down. No one, somebody paid a private investigator. They couldn't get it. I went through and pounded, got all the information and closed the deal. But they've been trying to sell the property for 2 years, and they couldn't sell it. So there's always going to be somebody like me or like Carlos that's really ready to just like, whatever I have to do, I'm going to get it.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad title. But then you see, it just comes back to your knowledge and being understanding the title commitment. Actually, the A, B, C schedules. You know what I mean? Of the title policy and
Schedule C.
Yeah, it's a Schedule C, right?
Is it Schedule C?
Yeah, Schedule C.
Schedule C is the LLC.
Yeah. And
I don't know what the schedule is. I don't read the title policies. That's what I had Ryan for.
Correct. Yeah. So sometimes I think that's an advantage, but it's just throughout time. So you can't really, there's so many educational, coaches.
Sometimes they're jacked up. Like you read it and you're like, this makes absolutely no fucking sense. Like.
Makes sense.
And they're trying to get chaos for judgments. There were 3 girls
from 1930. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
So, all right, guys.
That's closing statements.
Good closing statements. Good show. I think we ought to do this.
Did you enjoy yourself?
I did. Yeah.
This is fun.
Carlos, what did you think? Did you enjoy yourself? You glad you showed up here?
I think. Hold on, Carlos. Say what that.
We're trying to wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up.
Sorry, guys. That's fine because we're going to chop it up into interesting little bits and put it on YouTube.
Oh, hell
I want to thank
yeah.
everybody for watching. We'll
Yeah.
do this at least. What do you want to do? Once a month? I'm good with once a month.
Let's do it.
We'll see you tomorrow.
I will see you tomorrow on our show. But otherwise, good show, boys.
Good. We did a good job.
Brian will see you tomorrow in my truck.
Just further prove whatever happens. All right. Thanks, guys. It's a corporation.